All right, I'm gonna have my fortune cooked.
How are we? Sorry, running late. Had a thing planned, had some guests planned, and yeah, it didn't work. It didn't work out due to people being overly tired from other things. So the lovely Kate has joined me here, and we are gonna have a bit of a chat. And oh, my volume is really low. That's because I had to turn it down for other people, other streams. So is that better? Can people hear me now? And can people hear Kate? Because I've got to make sure.
I haven't actually spoken yet. So, hi, everybody. If you can hear me, let us know. And if you can't, well, it's probably for everyone's benefit, really.
Yeah, because we'll probably just talk absolute garbage because that's the kind of thing that normally happens when you start these sort of streams. Yeah, so I was going to be doing a debunking session this morning, but with just the two of us here at the moment, I mean, people are welcome to hop in the stream if they want to. I did use Meets this morning because Jen Morgan might be joining us in a bit. She has been sleeping on and off all day though, but she had planned to.
Oh, actually, so have I.
Yeah, well, I'm not long woken up too, but it is morning for me, so that's hardly surprising. So how are you anyway, Kate?
I guess I'm all right. I've been spending the last several days feeling weirdly logy. Like it's in no way symptomatic of COVID-19, but I've been feeling sick anyway. Went absolutely stir crazy this afternoon. Went for a walk. Hazmated up as much as I could and went for a walk. Saw the world's best license plate ever. It just said "Ew, boys." So.
Oh wow. That actually is a pretty good personalised number plate. Or was it not personalised and it just worked out that way?
No.
It's definitely
Excuse me, sorry, I'm finishing dinner. No, it was personalised.
Cool.
I know it was personalized because, I mean, number one, it did work out. But number two, California always puts the last digit of the year that the license plate was issued as the first character on a license plate. So unless this started, she got her license plate in the year E, I don't think it was. Yeah. Anyway, I'll just shut up now.
That's okay. Yeah. So yeah, we will probably head into playing a game of Quick Lash in a bit if people in the chat are interested, because there's not much point Kate and I just playing on our own because that's not really a game. And at the same time, we'll shoot the shit about various different things. If we feel up to it later, I don't know, we might make some comments about some ridiculous stuff that's been happening online because it always is happening. Outside of that, I really don't know. This was kind of like off the cuff decision for me last night because Jay, who's absolutely lovely and is in the chat at the moment, is still not well, and I thought I'd put something on that was just entertaining for those who wanted it. I realise there's other streams on at the moment, but
now, when you say not well,
he hasn't been tested for the dreaded lurgy that's going around, but he has not been well. So, oh, I have a knock on my door. Hang on a sec. I will.
Well, I don't know. I've just been calling it the plague because it may not be Black Death, but it's a friggin' plague.
Sorry about that.
So how are you coping? What are you doing to keep busy?
What am
besides
I doing?
That?
Besides this, yeah. I've been trying to catch up on a lot of different programs that I've been meaning to watch and haven't had the time to.
Anything in particular?
I've been watching Altered Carbon, the second season.
I've seen what is that even about? Because I've seen it as an option, I just haven't clicked.
Um, it's about in the future they've developed these things called stacks that basically record all of your memories. Um, so if and your personality and everything. So that basically, um, and they've figured out a way to clone bodies or manufacture bodies as well, so they can
Hmm.
design bodies, so they can transfer people's consciousness from one body to another using these stacks. So people are, unless their stack gets destroyed and isn't backed up, they're effectively immortal.
Oh boy, I take issue with the very concept, but that's just me. Um, well, I mean, because when you really think about it, what generates the self? It's the head meats, it's the wet bits inside your skull,
Yeah.
right? So you can't just like upload your consciousness into a new body from the one you're in now. You would have to somehow make the actual mechanics of what generates you transfer over. And I can think of ways to do it, but if your body dies, you die, no matter how much they make a copy. Anyway, that's just something that's always bugged me. It's a common sci-fi trope that I've always been like, no.
Yeah, I don't object to extending human life to a long amount of time. You know, a couple of centuries would, even 4 centuries, I could probably cope with that. I think after that, I might be a bit sick of life.
Mm. Well,
But
I guess it depends, doesn't it?
as long as your quality of life is good. See, like if I could spend another 3.5 centuries at least in as physically good condition as I am at the moment, if not better, I would.
Mm.
That would be cool. I could do that.
Well, I always wonder about like, you see those someone finds a magic lamp or a genie or something, and they're granted three wishes, and they wish to never die or something, but they don't wish to stay young. So it's like eventually you're just this
This old crone.
desiccated walking corpse that's like senile and unable to hold itself up simply because you can't die, but you kept aging, that sort of thing. But also I could probably go a couple of millennia if I had my own spaceship.
Oh hell yeah! Well, see, that would be the thing. If you knew you weren't like, if you could be uploaded into an artificial body that could effectively live, but you were still yourself and you were comfortable being in that body, because that would of course be an issue. Because knowing what it's like being uncomfortable in the body you're in, really wouldn't want that. but
Well,
but if you could be uploaded into a body and then the software actually made you comfortable in the body you were in, if it's an artificial body, there's no reason why, as long as you've got repairing abilities, there's no reason why you couldn't live for a few millennia, and you wouldn't
well,
need to eat as much and everything, so you could go for long trips into space.
well. The thing that I guess I take exception just to the idea of like there's a consciousness that can be pulled out of the body. Now, if you were able to have some sort of nanobots that could turn your brain into a machine piece by piece, maintaining your continuity of consciousness, then I'm like, okay, yeah, that's possible. But when people think, oh, the personality exists independent of the actual head meat, that's where I start to have issues. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, I
Yeah.
mean, if you can do a brain transplant or mechanize the brain somehow and then
Well, yes,
transplant it
it would
that way.
have to, whatever the artificial transplant of the brain was, either by some way of melding the flesh to the machine, and hopefully the flesh survives for that sort of length of time, or a proper full on simulation of the neurons in the brain, so that it really was you, effectively. Then yes. Otherwise, it's, yeah. If it's just your memories, then is that really you? Because I think you're
Right,
more than
exactly. It's
just,
because it's as much about consciousness as anything
yeah.
else.
Our consciousness is partly our memories, but I don't think that's all of it. It's
Mm-hmm.
the way our neurons interlink is way more complicated than just a bank of memories. If a bank of memories
Yeah.
could be consciousness, we could achieve consciousness in PCs.
Well, I mean,
It doesn't work that way.
even if it even if it could be consciousness, though, it wouldn't be the same consciousness is the problem. It'd just be a simulation of someone else's consciousness. Like as
Yeah,
in, yeah. It's so I don't know. It's just something that's always bothered me ever since I first heard the concept proposed in like sci-fi or whatever. It's just like, yeah.
and there's also the thing is once you can copy a consciousness and put it into something else, well, what are you going to do? Are you going to kill the original, or are there now going to be two copies of you?
Well, I
Which,
picture two copies.
which effectively, from that point of being two copies, they are two individuals, two separate
Well,
individuals.
exactly.
They have a shared history, but they're two separate people.
Well, that's what I've been getting at, actually.
Yeah. No, no.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just something. I mean, I can watch something that does that where they don't really realize the implications of what they're doing. It just makes me go, geez, they did that again. Ugh. You know, it's kind of like when you're watching a movie and there's some big, huge tower thing or a monster that just got killed that's about to land on all the characters. And instead of running to the side to avoid it, they try to outrun the long bit. You know, and that's one that bugs the hell out of me too, in much the same way that the oh, we can upload your consciousness bothers me as well. It's just one of those, oh, they did it again? Really? Why is no one smart? So
Yeah. Whoops. What am I doing? No, I agree with you. No. Alright. Google Meets is being weird with me, but that's okay. People can still hear you.
well, they
And
have
as
my
they can't
sympathy.
see you anyway, they can only see Kitty.
I'm tempted to turn on my camera, but right now I am suffering a rather severe appearance deficit. So,
Aww.
well, it just,
Yeah,
with
no,
the
no,
things.
I get it. I totally get it. We all
Yeah.
have days like that.
Although one thing I've
And they happen
noticed,
way too fucking often. That's the problem.
mm, it wouldn't be so bad if my hair would behave. But one thing I've noticed, and I know some people will get on my case for this, but when I put on one of those masks, if I have to go out to like the grocery store or whatever,
Yeah.
actually kind of looks hot.
Oh.
And I realize some people are going to be like, yeah, but it covers your face. And I'm like, exactly.
Uh.
But I mean, I don't know. I think it makes me look better just because there's a certain badassness to it. The way I do it.
It's almost apocalyptic, isn't it? All these the
Yeah.
streets are quieter. People are wearing masks, and they're fighting over toilet paper.
It's
It it is. I mean, there's going to be movies done about this at some point.
oh, they're probably already scripting it.
Yeah. Of course, they'll make it worse, and they'll end up with people shooting each other, and which
I'm
I
surprised we're
don't
not
think has
shooting
actually
it yet.
happened anywhere yet. But I
I
wouldn't
think
put
it's
it past.
coming.
It's coming. Yeah. It's. I mean, smaller things have caused it. You give another 2 months of people being locked up, or even worse, if Trump does his thing and opens back up the US early, and the rate of infection of the pandemic increases back above where it was before, which is probably what will happen,
Hmm.
there will be incredible widespread panic.
Well, it's funny. I just put a tweet out about that where I was like, the more I watch people panic and throw good sense to the winds during the pandemic, include leading themselves to reckless behavior and endangering others and themselves and all of that, I begin to understand better those aliens in sci-fi that say, yeah, emotions suck, let's not have them. Yeah, I mean, seriously, like you watch those people walking around on the beach with no protection whatsoever going, open it back up. I'm like, really, guys? Really? The people who are flipping out going, oh, it's all a government plot. Nah, 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 nah. We have to go to church. Nah, 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 nah. And it's like,
Oh,
really,
it
guys?
really, yeah, it's just so frustrating. It's like, don't you actually care about other people? Especially especially when it's coming out of the mouths of people who are so-called Christians who
Mm.
supposedly care about the world. No, you don't. You really don't care about anyone except yourselves, you selfish little pricks.
Well, if you were going to die from the plague, it was God's plan that you were going to die from the
And
plague.
it's
So it's
exactly
not
what they think.
their doing.
Mm. What is it? Jay said in
Um,
the chat, this year was the first time since 2002 where there wasn't a school shooting in March in
oh,
the
yeah, I saw
US.
that.
I'm like, what? Well, at least something good's come of this.
Well, and gosh, this feels horrible because I was raised by hippies, by peace-loving hippies, and I under no circumstances ever want to be the cause of anyone's death if their name isn't William Shatner. And so but the thing is I realize if they're going to start shooting people out there over this whole thing, I mean, I was late to the party buying the supplies I needed, like toilet paper and sanitizer, because I didn't think everyone else was going to flip out as much as they did.
Yeah.
And everyone starts hoarding and hoarding and hoarding. And I'm like, if I need to protect myself, I probably shouldn't wait to go get a firearm. But at the same time, I don't want one. I don't want to use one. I don't want anyone else to use one. It sucks, but I might need to have to. And I don't like the idea at all. But because other people are going to be idiots, I might have to be an idiot too, just to protect myself from them.
Yeah, I totally get that. It's nuts. And I mean, I had a discussion with some people the other day about the way the situation is for you guys, especially over in the US. Because it's pretty obvious from things Trump said in the past and everything that his ideal situation would be if the US had a major catastrophe, and he was talking war at the time, because then you can get to the point of instituting martial law, and then you can basically start doing things like ignoring the Constitution.
Mm-hmm.
And I can see in the type of actions that he's looking at the moment, that that's where he's thinking of taking this.
Yeah, because he wants to crown himself emperor, and I wish that was hyperbolic.
No, I don't think you're being hyperbolic at all. I think he has huge, enormous ideas that are dangerous.
Yeah.
And it's kind of scary that, he may deliberately sacrifice people's lives to achieve his needs.
Well, and I mean, and maybe I'm wrong because I don't know his, and I call it a mind because I have no other term for that tiny peanut of a brain he has. But I've gotten the impression that he's also terrified of leaving office and having to face the music for everything he's done.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, because right
I
now he's
mean,
protected by being president, and if he leaves the office, he can be prosecuted for all kinds of crazy shit, and not even just stuff he did in office. And so I think that he wants to hold on to the presidency as much as he can to avoid all of
yeah,
that.
he's looking for a way that he can overturn those get around the two terms issue, and if not him, at least have somebody in his family in power to protect him.
Mm.
And that is a terrifying situation for you guys to be looking at. The fact that he's basically wanting to start a dynasty. I mean,
Yep.
look at the people he models himself after. I mean, like Putin and Kim Jong Un. They're the people he idolizes.
Crazy. I can't even picture being like that.
It's just, yeah, it's not a situation that if I was in the US I'd be fucking happy about. And I'm not in the US, and I'm still not happy about it because, I mean, ultimately the size of America and the military backing it's got, anything that goes shithole in America ultimately has to affect the rest of the world.
Yeah, we do have a little bit too much influence, don't we?
Yeah.
I mean, I have to admit, I'm a little disillusioned by my country. I mean, sort of like we still have that tail end of we're number one, best country in the world when I was a kid, all of that stuff. And I could see the justification for saying so. I mean, we did have some of the biggest industries, lots of computer stuff and Hollywood and all that. And we did kind of help win that whole Second World War thing. And
Yeah.
we went to the moon and this, that, and the other thing. But I've become a lot more cynical about that lately, and yet there are some people who are trying so hard to cling to it, especially those on the right wing, to say no, we're still that kind of awesome. And it's I don't know. I think we should be less of an actor on the world stage. I think we should stop it with the regime change wars. I think we should start minding our own business a bit more.
Yeah, I agree.
But I think that because of Trump and this disease, we might be seeing the United States breaking up a bit. I think there's a very real chance that we will be seeing the whole Cal-Exit movement start moving forward.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, isn't that hard to do over there, though? I mean, without heading down the road of a civil war again?
Well, there are no legal provisions for secession.
Yeah,
Those
that's
don't
what I thought.
exist. But it's also not forbidden either.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know how that would work, but I do suspect that there would be a civil war if we tried it. But by the same token, we might have to, just because how do we survive in a country that's like this, you know?
Yeah.
But of course, also California has, it's the fifth largest economy in the world, just the state of California. We have Hollywood. We have at least one military base that I know of off the top of my head, probably more. And someone says that there's probably like nukes, as in missiles, in silos somewhere in California. And that sounds reasonable too. I should probably look all this stuff up. So they wouldn't let us go easy, even if we tried to do it peacefully.
Yeah. Yeah, I could just... and I don't think California would go on their own either. I think there'll be a few states around there who'd actually want to go with.
Oregon and Washington, most likely.
Yeah.
I mean, there are already people saying we should call it the nation of Cascadia, after the mountains.
Yeah. So,
Hey, Canada, want us? We'll join you. Give the U.S. Quebec and we'll come along.
yeah, I mean, it's one of those dreadful situations where I can see it getting bad before it gets better for you guys. And I know there's lots of people in the US who don't think it's bad, but yeah, the kind of stuff that the stuff that's happening at the top end of your politics at the moment, yeah, it isn't a good situation.
Well,
Yeah,
and I
Commander
hate
in Puff and Sauce is an absolute nutbag.
yeah. Yeah, and he's going to win another 4 terms if Joe Biden is the nominee. He has all these clips now, current clips, of him trying to get out a point on like a news show, and he's like, "Well, there's President Roosevelt did the thing, with the military." Yeah, it's like, gosh, this guy is completely senile, and other folks think he's like the messiah to be president. It's bizarre to me. I don't get it.
Yeah. It looks to me like the Democrats just wanted a candidate who was like Trump.
I think what they wanted was a candidate who wasn't going to shake things up too much, who wasn't going to change anything. A lot of people liked where everything was and didn't want to mess with it.
Yeah, but you're going to end up... You need a tiny shake-up. You don't need a huge one, I don't think. Not first up. But you need somebody who's prepared to look to the future and start implementing change.
See, I don't think we have time for that. I think we need broad, sweeping change now, or we'll be pretty screwed down the road.
Oh, like
Yeah,
I mean, if you're talking about climate change and
among other
perhaps
things.
in some sense policy, at least when it comes to healthcare, yeah, you guys need major changes, like
Hmm.
yesterday.
Well, and we need to end all these stupid wars too.
Ugh,
And healthcare, we need universal healthcare.
yeah.
I would be flexible on the whole UBI thing. I like it a lot, but if I was going to trade anything for healthcare and ending the wars and all of that, I'd trade UBI for all of that shit. I'm just
Yeah.
saying. I
Yeah, no, I
mean,
agree. I mean, given that I'm in a country that has universal healthcare, well, for the majority of things, I totally agree. It's a needed thing. As far as I'm concerned, healthcare is a right, not a privilege. If
don't get me
if you're
started on rights, but okay.
but if you're in a developed country that has access to these facilities, everyone, when you're talking about healthcare, everyone should have access to that.
I agree with that.
And I know
Definitely.
you have access to it in the US, but not everyone does really, because if you don't have the money, you don't have the access. That's what it
Exactly.
basically comes down to. Not, I mean, not everywhere. There are some states that do better than others in supporting people, but it shouldn't be like that. In a country like the US, with the economy that the US has, healthcare should be for everyone. And it doesn't
Yes.
necessarily have to be done in the way it's done in Australia or the US or Canada. Australia or the US, UK or Canada. I'm
Mm.
sure there's other ways it could be implemented that doesn't destroy the private healthcare system, which is a lot more developed and more important in the US than it is in some other
Yeah.
countries. So I'm sure there's ways it could be done. Um, you know, like requiring health plans and things like that, for people who are working and the government picking up the slack everywhere else. And I mean properly picking it up.
Yeah, the whole like Medicare for all who want it that Pete Buttigieg was trying to do, that was just pathetic. Mm, I don't know. I don't know.
Well, what's the chat
It's
said?
it's also
Rainbag said
frustrating.
that the DNC is bought and owned by industrial lobbyists, so no way economic progressive to win them over.
Oh, I agree. I
Yeah,
mean, I think that we need. Um, well, I'm not going to say a third party because that's fraught. I think what we need is ranked choice voting so that we can have as many damn parties as we like, and it's not a quote unquote wasted vote to not vote Dem or Republican. You know, because that way people could vote their conscience, and if that doesn't work, then their vote goes to the quote unquote safe candidate, you know?
yeah. Amiga said, what did Raven say before that? The broad sweeping change is what gave us Trump.
Yes, but that's broad
Uh,
sweeping change in the wrong direction, isn't it?
yeah. Well, I don't even know if it was that. I think Trump was a reactionary response. Um, it was more about, well, we there was more a case of we don't necessarily trust Hillary, so we're going to vote for this person.
Well, I mean, certainly the way I've heard it, I mean, Trump had the right wing just sewn up no matter what. They were going to vote for him because there's if there's one thing to be said about Republicans, they know how to coalesce around their candidate and go out and vote.
Yeah.
Whereas with the Democrats and the left wing, it's like herding cats. The problem is that Hillary was so uninspiring. So I'm going to keep things exactly the way they are and refusing to change. Plus, the fact that she didn't campaign in the Rust Belt just made people go, I don't want more of this. This is
And yeah,
just
she
same
won the
old, and I'm
popular
sick of it.
vote.
Yeah, but you know what? It should have been a landslide against Trump, and it
Oh no, I
wasn't.
agree. It should have been. And I think
You
had
know,
it been almost any other candidate, it would have been.
yeah.
So yeah,
But I
so
mean,
it looks like
that's
the
what.
Democrats are going to shoot themselves in the foot twice in a row.
Oh, and that's something I said online is that it seems like both the progressives and the DNC thought that the other one had learned their lesson from 2016.
Hmm.
It's just, well, you guys got defeated. Oh, yeah? Well, you guys got defeated. Well, maybe that's because you didn't do it our way, they both said. So it's,
So what Amiga Nuts
but
said, I don't agree completely with that. I think the Electoral College, gerrymandering, etc., gave us Donald. Um, yeah, well, your Electoral College system is incredibly weird.
yeah, it's pretty stupid.
It gives too much
It,
power to too few people.
mm-hmm, and
And I
the
know it's
whole
supposed to be about protecting states, but when the protection of those smaller states means that the voters in a larger state basically have no say. I'm sorry, I mean, I live in one of the smaller states in Australia, not in land size, but in population, um, in Australia, and we can all vote one way, and the entire election across the country goes the other way. The two biggest states totally decide who's going to be our federal government. It's very little power can be had from the other states unless it's really close. Um, so I know what that's like to be in a small state where you don't get as much say, but it's still fair.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people complain when they're in like one of those smaller Midwest states, where they're like, well, but then we'll never be able to change the country because the people on the coast, the blue people, the deeply blue states will always win. And it's like, well, then maybe you should have more children and raise them to be voters your way, because it's never going to happen any other way. If we're going to actually have the people being represented, you're going to have to basically breed like rabbits to offset it, because you know
And that's my point. The people should be represented. Now I realize that any electoral system you're going to have anywhere is going to be, it's not going to be one to one. It's going to be proportional because you can't help that because you tend to have zones and stuff.
mm-hmm.
Um, you tend to have voting zones, and they're rarely exactly the same size in population, and you also tend to have some form of more balanced representation as well for to even the board with the checks and balances. So you're never truly getting one vote, one value. But I think the ideal should be to try and get as close to that as possible.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, Amiga Nuts was asking how does is bribery legal in Australia? No, it isn't. You're not supposed to bribe the police with stuff. Politicians have in Australia have to declare where all their funds come from. It is totally open. There's been a few who've gotten major trouble. Even a couple lost their seats in Parliament over it. So yeah, we do try to hold them to a higher level of accountability here. Doesn't always work. I mean, you still get assholes. So I honestly think the desire to be a politician should ban you from life for ever being one.
Well, another like byproduct of this whole thing is that the rest of the world has an image now of what Americans are like. And I'm sitting there going, you realize that a lot of us make fun of them too, right?
Yeah.
Like they have that whole, overweight wall Martian on the scooter with the assault rifle shouting, America, fuck yeah, and all that. And I'm like, yeah, we make fun of them too. With that's not us. Don't lump us in with all those guys. You know?
Yeah. No, I totally agree. I mean, a lot of the world's looking at America and going, "Oh, you're all MAGA hat wearing imbeciles." And unfortunately, a lot of different things have shown that image. I mean, even down from the clips that they often show on TV of going out and asking Americans questions about the rest of the world, and no one can answer. Well, I mean, they're obviously cutting out the people who do actually know shit
Yeah.
because it's funny having people being shown to be dumb as shit. But it's also a sad indictment of education systems, not just in America, but around the world, because you could do this in any country.
Yeah.
And
As,
I find that shocking that, people are lacking a basic education.
as all those people, like, I remember they were saying, no, no, we should get rid of the Homo sapiens. And it's like, yeah, well, or no, it's okay. I mean, if they want to live their lifestyle their way, fine. I just don't want Homo sapiens around me. That kind of thing. It's like, oh, and also we have to ban dihydrogen monoxide. It's so dangerous. And all of that. It's just like, oh.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm really ashamed to be from here, and I don't necessarily mean the United States. Earth will do.
Yeah. Yeah, it's well, I mean, humans are dumb creatures.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not individually, but en masse, we are particularly fucking stupid.
And it's amazing how low a person's IQ seems to sink the more people they're around.
Oh yeah,
That's what
you get a
mob's
mob,
for.
and that mob has an IQ that would, maybe put them in padded fucking cells.
Right. Yes, that'd be an embarrassing IQ for a salad, people.
Yeah,
Smarten up.
I mean,
You're good at
you've even
this.
seen it. I mean, the fact that you can get groups of students and not just art students or people who only just scraped into college, but you can get groups of students who, some of them have incredibly high IQs, are studying STEM sciences, but they get out there and they will protest for something, and then those protests turn violent. And like, what is with that? You guys are meant to be smart. But the smart fuck off as soon as you get a big group together.
Well, I wonder how many of those smart people were the cause of the riot, and how many of them were just caught in it and didn't know how to get out of it.
Well, I think that's very true. It's the minority who start these things. And quite often it's people who have a tendency to cause trouble who will get involved in things like that with an aim to cause that to happen. And usually it started from somebody who's like that. But it doesn't change the fact that the mob mentality means that a portion of that mob, who normally wouldn't behave like this, follow.
True.
And we are very much fucking sheep. Bad turn of phrase, but you know what I mean. We have a herd. We have a herd mentality. The herd's going to do something. Oh, well, let's all do it because the rest of the herd are doing it.
Well, there have been a lot of times where I watch the rest of the world heading in a certain direction that I don't much care for. And actually, it's kind of lonely in a weird way. It's like, oh, hey, look at this thing that just became popular and trendy. And I'm like, man, that's stupid. I hate that. I hate everything about that. I mean, that describes my almost my entire experience of the 1990s. Oh, I hated the 90s so much. But the rest of the world went that way, and
I mean, I often say I really didn't like the music of the 80s, but the 90s was worse.
I adore the music of the 80s, but the 90s was so depressing. The 90s was like everyone in the 90s wanted to wallow in pathos, and I'm just like, that is so not me.
I mean, there is absolutely beautiful stuff, that absolutely amazing songs that came out of the 80s that I am totally in love with. They're a part of my childhood that are everything to me. And then there's the absolute crap that came out. There was I know it happens in every decade, but it felt like there was these two extremes. There's this really good stuff, and there's this absolute shit.
Well, I'm not going to ask you which ones you considered great and which ones you considered shit, because we could probably come to blows over that. But
in all honesty, off the top of my head now, I probably couldn't tell you exactly which bits I think were shit. But
I mean, I could have gone the rest of my life and died happy, never having heard "Come On, Eileen."
That's such an earworm, that song.
But
I
But
mean, there's lots of things that came out in the 80s that were really good. I loved most of the stuff that Bryan Adams brought out. Um,
it's funny. People in the United States love to make fun of Bryan Adams. I enjoyed most of his music too.
yeah. And I mean, there was a lot of really good stuff. I mean, if I think back about it, there isn't a lot of music I don't like. My biggest
Mm,
objection probably was 80s was the start of rap, and I'm not a huge rap fan.
okay, now I have pretty strong feelings about rap because I actually enjoyed the rap of the 1980s because it was fun. But when it started being all angry and like popping a cap in your ass and fuck the police and, bitches and hoes and money and all that, that's where I started to check out. The gangster rap, no thanks.
Yeah, no. Well, I don't like that especially, but and of course, but I mean, a lot of the stuff that came later in the 90s was even worse. Like all the mixed up dance music and stuff like that. I mean, dance music, don't get me wrong, is great if you're in a nightclub, but I know people who will sit in their house and listen to it, and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
There, there, there is. I mean, these are just samples people have nicked from other people's songs. Why don't you go and listen to the original fucking song? Or are they
I
just
just
beat machines, and you can do that your fucking self?
Well, I mean that is a thing is I like music that emphasizes melody far more than rhythm, if
Yeah,
you know what I
same.
mean.
No, I'm
And
exactly the same,
so,
Kate.
and so that's why a lot of rap, a lot of hip hop, a lot of dance music is just not my thing. Is
No,
because
it's not mine
usually
either.
it's all just oons, oons,
Unz,
oons,
unz.
oons.
I
And I'm
hate
like,
that. Isn't it
uh,
dreadful if you're driving somewhere and you pull up, say, at a set of lights, and the person beside you, that is all you can hear?
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
There have been times I've wanted to get out of my car and
Beat them with
tap
the
on their
tire
window and
iron.
say, "Turn your fucking music down."
Mm.
only,
Well,
only
I
I'm
mean,
always afraid I might get smacked in the head or something for that.
I can deal better with those people than the ones who install those things on their cars that make their engine as loud as possible,
Yep.
because that literally hurts. Whereas the people who are driving by with beat and bass pounding their windows outward, it's just slightly annoying.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I have some very strong feelings about music that I do and don't like. There's some music out there where, honestly, if you play it near me, I have to resist the urge to get violent. Um,
I
so,
don't
I
think I'm
mean,
quite that bad. Although if somebody put on gangster rap, I might be a bit pissed.
yeah, I could go. I could definitely do without opera
What
and
sort of opera though?
any opera.
Oh, okay. What?
I mean, I guess part of it is just that the way they do that bellow that is part of opera just grates on my ears pretty hard. I've often wondered what opera would sound like if it was sung in a more normal voice,
Okay.
because I might like it then.
I like some operas, as in high. You're mostly talking about high opera, not musical.
I don't know. They're probably
Yeah,
high.
yeah. You're not talking about musicals. You're talking things that are more like
Oh,
musicals. You're talking high opera.
like the whole Barber of Seville stuff, or it's not over till the fat lady sings, all of that.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, because if I meant musicals, I'd have said musicals, but I
Okay.
mean,
Well, I mean, Barbara
Pavarotti
Seville
type
is
stuff.
Sweeney Todd is actually more of a musical anyway. But
Well, the whole like Figaro, that guy.
oh yeah, yeah,
Fuck
yeah. Yeah, no,
yeah.
I get what you mean. Like if you were going to listen to something like Ada or yeah, no, that's the only one that's coming to my fucking head at the moment. I
Yeah.
don't mind opera. My biggest objection to opera is if I'm gonna sit there and listen to something in another language, which is supposed to be a show that I'm meant to be watching and enjoying the story of, what's the point?
Hmm.
You know, if I don't mind watching things where I have to read subtitles, but I mean, I'd often prefer to have something dubbed so I don't have to do that because if I'm having to read along with it, I'm losing my immersion.
Yeah.
Especially
No,
with
I'm
having
like that.
dyslexia, it just drives me fucking mental.
Okay,
So
pretty sure I don't have dyslexia, but I'm still with you.
Yeah, so I'm like the, I'm a music. I love musicals, and I've been in musicals, and I think they're absolutely fucking amazing. I
Hmm.
would dearly love to see Hamilton because I've heard so much about it, and it frustrates me that it hasn't been
Hamilton.
on. But I have
I
seen
don't.
I've seen Wicked and Avenue Q live on stage, and they were brilliant.
I
Um,
don't know what Hamilton is.
it's the musical about Alexander Hamilton.
Okay. I mean, I sort of figured it was, but I still don't know it at all. I didn't even know it existed until just now.
Yeah,
But I like. I mean, I've mentioned this on Diana's channel before.
yeah.
Is if a musical could keep the plot moving during the song, I'd probably be a lot more interested. But usually they go, oh, here's an emotion a character is feeling. Let's sing about just that for 5 minutes. And at that point, I'm like, okay, get on with it. I wanted the story far more than you people singing.
Yeah, there are certainly musicals that don't carry themselves well with the plot.
You know,
But having
but I
said that,
do.
there are a lot that do. I mean, you probably wouldn't like Wicked because there's a lot of stuff that comes very close to being operatic. But
Hmm.
at least the music in that actually does drive the story. So it's a good
Okay.
balance between the dialogue and the songs. Avenue Q is absolutely amazing for it because the songs continue the story.
Now,
So
remind me, Avenue Q, that's the one with the puppets, right?
it is.
Okay, because I've only seen bits of that, like clips on YouTube.
Yeah, like the internet is for porn.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah,
Um,
it is incredibly fun as a musical. Um, don't take your kids.
well,
But
uh,
yeah,
I, I do like music that's in a foreign language, or rather, there's a lot of music that I like that's in a foreign language. I don't like it because it's in a foreign language. But like, my favorite band is from Sweden. No, not ABBA. And
nothing wrong with
before they
ABBA.
were every time I say my favorite band is from Sweden, people go, "Oh, ABBA." I'm like,
No.
"No, you fuckers, Roxette." But
Oh, now right,
like,
that's a good band. I love Roxette.
oh, I adore them, best band ever. But before Roxette was formed, Per Gessle, the male lead singer and guitarist and songwriter, was in a band called Julena Tider, and they sang primarily in Swedish. And some of their songs are absolutely amazing, and I have no idea what the frig they're about.
Oh yeah, I mean, I like. I actually quite like Ramstein,
Okay.
and I mean, a lot of their songs are in German. So, but having said that, I don't have a problem with the song being in a foreign language. That's perfectly fine. But when the song is part of the story and it's you need to know what's being said to actually follow the story, then I have a problem with that because it kind of takes away from it for me. So that's why I have problems with a lot of operas. If the operas are actually done in English, it's not so bad. Or if I know the story well enough that I can just follow it along, then that's fine. But having said that, I'd rather go and watch a musical any day than an opera.
Mm. Well, whatever floats your ducky, I guess.
Yeah.
I have a
I mean,
lot
we're all
of
different, and that's a good thing.
friends. I have a lot of goth friends from Seattle, and they love Rammstein. Right? They
Yeah.
love it, love it. I can't even name one song of theirs, although I'm sure there's
Lost.
at least one I like. Oh, yeah, I know that song. Or at least I know it exists. I know I've heard it. I could not hum it for you.
Yeah, I wouldn't even try and sing it. I mean, it's all throat guttural stuff, so
All that too.
yeah.
But I mean, I couldn't even hum the like the melody, the guitar, or anything. That part, in no way could I identify that song for you by trying to hum it.
Now the
Not possible.
chat's now the chat's listing Ramstein songs.
Uh, sure. And what was the other thing I was gonna? Oh yeah, for a while I used to be like super into anime, not as much anymore, and so I ended up listening to a lot of Japanese bands with a lot of Japanese music that was in Japanese.
Yeah,
Oddly enough, and you wouldn't think it, but Japanese is a great language for music.
yeah. I mean, Japanese music is really interesting.
Yeah.
So,
Well, if
um,
you ever get the chance, look up a song called "Dear My Friend" by the band Every Little Thing. I adore that song so much. I rollerblade to it.
oh
It's
wow,
just full of so much energy, and it sounds like so much fun.
yeah,
I wish I could sing along to it, but I cannot hit some of those notes.
yeah. Oh, I get that all the time.
Yeah.
I, have you ever had the thing where you're driving along in your car singing along to a song and people start looking at you?
Well, I haven't driven a car since high school, so
You haven't?
not recently. No, well, I mean, when I lived in Seattle, because I went directly from college to Seattle, and they have like the most amazing bus system you ever saw. And then I started having the seizures, so I couldn't legally drive anyway. Now I'm in California and I desperately need a vehicle, and I'm not having the seizures anymore, but I don't have a vehicle. So seriously, I haven't driven since high school.
Ah,
Yeah, but I mean, I remember way back in the day, we're talking like 1993 here, a Single had come out, if you remember Singles,
oh yeah,
for
I used to get them. So yeah,
for an upcoming Roxette album. And I was looking at the title going, Sleeping in My Car? This sounds like a ballad.
it's
And I put it on, and it is one of the most rockinest songs you ever heard,
it is an
right?
awesome
And
song.
I was thrashing around in the car. People probably thought I was being attacked by a bee. I
So
was
what is
like,
your
oh my
favorite
gosh,
song of theirs?
what?
What's your favorite song from Roxette?
Oh, Fading Like a Flower.
Oh, another good one.
But
They have
Sleeping
a
in
lot
My
of good
Car is a
songs.
very close second. Like,
Yeah.
seriously.
I mean,
And
they're probably one of my favorite groups from the '80s. My favorite group overall would be Queen. Um,
I could never get into Queen, really. I don't hate Queen, but I can take or leave. Eh.
I grew up with
I
Queen
didn't
playing
even
all
know
around me, and I loved it. So
I didn't even know Queen existed until Wayne's World. I mean, I'd
yeah,
heard some of their
there was a lot of
songs.
people who had that, but as, I think especially for people in America, but
Yeah.
outside of America, Queen are very popular. So of course people knew about them. They got lots of radio time and stuff like that. So
Well, and of course, I'd heard We Are the Champions before, who hadn't. I
yeah,
just never made the connection between that and the band Queen.
you like things done in Japanese and that. You should Queen do a song called Tio Teria. I think that's how you pronounce it. Which they
Okay.
actually I can't pronounce it. That they actually it's Let Us
How do you
Come
spell
Together, I
that?
think is with the translation into English. Where they specifically wrote this song for a concert they were doing in Japan.
How do
Teotoria.
you
Yeah, I think that might be it.
can you
Teotoria.
spell that for me?
I can probably find a link.
Because I mean, I took a little bit of Japanese, enough to be able to pronounce a word if I see it. Uh, let's try
Toria.
this.
There it is. Oh, I'll have to be careful. Oh, no good, it's muted.
Oh no, 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 no. That's not it. Oh, here we go. Okay. Well, if that's the actual Romanji spelling of it, that should be Teotoriate.
Yeah,
Something like that.
there's the
Anyway.
song anyway in the link.
Well, perhaps I'll look it up later.
But yeah, it's really because they sing it in both English and Japanese, and apparently it was incredibly popular in Japan. Well, Queen were very popular in Japan anyway, so the fact that they actually got up on stage and said stuff. Hey, Jen,
Hey kids,
how are
Hello.
you?
how's everyone?
Yeah, good. I deliberately used Google for your benefit.
Oh, well, thank you.
You're very
I would have been
welcome.
here sooner, but
No,
I
that's okay.
was
I figured you
involved
were
with a
sleeping.
conference call.
Oh, you're on a conference call. Oh, yeah, I know what you were doing. Um, how
Yeah,
are
that
you?
secret organization,
Yeah, the secret
I'm
organization.
alright.
That's good.
I got a few hours sleep, so I'm
Oh, well, that's always
alive
the
again.
best. It's always for the best.
I
Not
actually
doing
spent
what I was
most of
planning on
the
doing
night asleep.
because we didn't end up with any shills. Um, so Kate and I have been talking about American politics and music, mostly. Yeah, I think that's mostly what we've done.
Yeah, I think that is pretty much, yeah.
Yeah,
Most
that's
of it
pretty much
I
it.
don't know
involving
nothing about
the
any of that stuff.
plague and the election, and then we got onto how awesome Roxette is.
Oh yeah, yeah, because we both happen to like Roxette, and Kate thought we wouldn't have any music we shared.
I don't know
I
who
don't think I said
Roxanne is.
that. I don't think
You
I said
said you
that.
thought we might come at loggerheads with some of the stuff that we don't like.
Well, yes, but that would have been my fault because I have very strong feelings about it.
Oh, okay. Well, I honestly can't. I aside from the fact that I'm not a huge fan of rap, if you name me a song in the '80s that you like, I will probably agree with you that it was a good song because, um, yeah, because
Oh,
I like songs that are I quite like ballady songs. I like songs that often tell a story. They don't have to be lower down ballads, but they can be hard rock and whatever. But I like there to be a good feel to the story and something. So a song that gets somewhere.
well, it's funny because I so rarely pay attention to the lyrics of a song, or at least not until about the 15th go through. I just care about how the music makes me feel.
Well, that
And I tend to like happier, more energetic music. So, like if you throw a track at me and you're wondering if I'll like it, chances are good I'll like it much more if it's upbeat and happy and fun and fast paced.
uh, yeah.
I
Well,
mean, that's not a universal rule. That's not set in stone, but it's just a tendency on my part.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm fairly eclectic as far when it comes to music. It's just, yeah, there's certain things I just don't like, but on the whole, most music I'm fine with. Um,
What are your feelings on acapella?
oh, there's some absolutely brilliant acapellas out there, but it depends on the group doing it.
True.
Um, yeah, I, yeah, I quite like it. It's there's some
Well,
good stuff out there that I've really enjoyed. Have you?
there's this quartet called the Bobs that
Oh
I
yeah.
absolutely adore. They have a song called Helmet that everybody should love, and if you don't, you're a horrible person.
Well, I haven't listened to it, so I'll have to go and do that. um, there's a YouTube channel called Acapella Science, and he did a yeah. You remember the song "The Longest Time"?
Sure.
Yeah, he did a version of that called "Entropic Time,"
Uh,
and
okay.
which is really cool because he filmed it. The whole film clip is clips that have been played in reverse, but he had to film them in such a way that they could work played in reverse.
Hmm.
He's got a making of video for it and how hard it was for them to get it right so that it would actually work. But it's a brilliant song, brilliant film clip. But he's done quite a few other songs that are really quite brilliant. He did a medley from Aladdin that was all about finding the progression from us not knowing that there are other planets around other stars to finding them, and then Kepler's mission, and then and all that, and it's absolutely brilliant. Yeah.
Well, there's a video I saw a while back. It's a John Williams medley done in a cappella, where it's these guys singing about Star Wars using John Williams music from every movie that isn't Star Wars that he ever did.
Cool.
And it's actually,
no, I think I've seen that.
yeah. Well, it's like I think they start out with
long time ago, far.
Yes,
away,
yes, exactly.
Time ago.
Kiss a Wookiee, kick the droid, fly the Falcon through an asteroid till the princess is annoyed. Yeah, that.
Yeah, that is brilliant.
It's an earworm, that song. It really is.
It is an incredible earworm. What I really love about it is they're all John Williams' music, but none of them are from Star Wars.
Exactly, yes.
Well, apart from the first bit.
The Force. Anyway.
Apart from the first bit, which is, of course, the logo. Not Star Wars-y, it's the studio sound.
The 20th Century Fox?
Fox, yeah.
I don't remember that being part of it.
Isn't it? Maybe I'm misremembering.
Or it's possible the version I have didn't include it.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. No, I think it might be because I've seen there's a couple of different versions of it, and I think they might have added it in for one of the ones they did. So
yeah,
but it is absolutely brilliant. So yeah, so I don't know. Does we've lost Jen again, but I'm assuming she'll head back.
Well, I see her and she's moving around. I think she just hasn't said anything.
Oh. I'm not seeing her at the moment. Are you still there, Jen?
Oh, we can't hear her. Or at least I can't.
Yeah. I can't even see her. So
well, now she's gone dark.
Yeah, she went dark for me. All right.
I was seeing her just fine a second ago, and then I saw her trying to talk, and it didn't work. So
she might have to jump out and jump back in if she can actually hear us.
Yeah.
I'll check Twitter, see if she sent me a message or anything.
Okay, I'm just looking at the side chat, wondering what the hell these people are talking about.
It's behaving like StreamYards.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, sorry, I may as well have been on StreamYard.
It's clipping all the audio.
Oh, that's weird. Well, that is highly annoying. Because I did this for your benefit. I'm a bitch? Why am I a bitch, Jay?
Well, that's what I said in the side chat. I had no idea what these people were on about.
What the hell have I done?
Maybe it's...
Yeah, please clip him, Raven.
Gen?
Nah, he's joking.
Obviously
somebody else has said something about me somewhere. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me.
There does seem to be a lot of Gens lately. Like, I used to hang out in Seattle with, like, 5 or 6 other Kates, and we all had to take different spellings to know who was who online. And now, all of a sudden, this community seems to be overrun by Gens, all of a sudden.
Well, yes, funny you should mention that, because I was talking to Jen Aldrich the other day from ACA. And I jokingly said she was in the chat and I was in the stream on Neil's channel, and I said, oh, we should start a Gen stream with just Gens, the Gen Collective or whatever. So and she goes, yes, we have to do that. So apparently we're doing this, and we had a few people suggest names, but the one I like is Genocide.
Oh, see, my brain was going to Genesis, but Genocide is better.
That could work too. But Genocide just looks That's cool. Um, so yeah, the plan is to do that.
I like
I
just
believe
calling it the Gen
the
and
Gen. We
use
are
the
the
board
Gen. Yeah,
cube
well, I
as
was gonna nick a bit of Borg stuff for it. Like we're the collective. We're gonna
Right.
assimilate everybody. But yeah, we just thought it'd be a bit of fun, and that's it. Something we're planning on doing at some point. Though I don't know when because she's pretty busy. So I'd say I was
Well,
pretty busy, but I'm not as busy as what I probably should be. So are you
well,
working well enough, Jen? Do you want to try playing Quiplash?
with the audio breaking up. I don't know.
Well, that's fine.
What
We
to
don't
do.
have to play Quiplash, so I'm happy to just talk.
either way. I
Yeah,
mean,
I'm
I do
happy
love
with either way.
football, but either
Depending on
way.
what the chat wants, I think they're just enjoying us dribbling on about stuff. So we can either play or not play. I'm fine either way. If the chat would like to
Well,
play some
I'm all for
Quiplash,
giving it a try.
if the chat's up for playing some Quiplash,
You know, I like to make the joke about how people call themselves Jennifer, but I've never seen them Jennif, so they're clearly not Jennifing. They're not Jennifers. But I actually do wonder about the origin of that name. I should look it up sometime and see why.
well, you know, I think I've said this before, but a Jenny is a name for a donkey, and a fir is a kind of tree. So that's why when I first started out on Twitter, my Twitter name was Donkey Tree.
Oh, hmm.
Because my nieces decided that was what they were going to
Okay.
call me. Donkey Tree.
Well, I didn't know that Jenny was a name for a
For a
donkey.
donkey. A female donkey is called a Jenny.
Is
In what
that
language?
an Australia thing? Because
No,
I'm not sure we
it's
do that
not.
in the US.
No, I don't think it. I think it's an older thing, but
I've never heard
Hi,
that.
Ilya.
And is that in any way related to the spinning Jenny? You know, the thing with the whatever was it, yarn, cotton, something, the spinning Jenny, that machine that they invented?
Yeah.
Or was that named for someone's kid or something, or their wife?
No,
I'm looking this up.
Oh, cool. The
that
chat
was
don't.
just a gin, um, a cotton gin. There was a Curtis Jenny airplane in World War One,
Okay, here we go. The spinning jenny is a multi-spindle
which
spinning
is
frame and was one of the
part
key
of why I
developments
like
in the
the name.
industrialization of weaving during the early industrial revolution. It was invented by James Hargreaves in England. I don't see anything about the name of it yet.
Hi, Ilya.
There we go. I'll enlarge us all because the chat has said they'd rather listen to us talk, which is probably easier anyway.
Oh, okay. Now they don't know the actual origin of the name, but one of the most likely
This
explanations is that Jenny is an
this
abbreviation
is
of
the
engine.
Ah. Oh, so I'm the little engine that could.
There you go.
I like that one.
Hmm.
But yeah.
when I used to build custom engines for customers, I would call them engines. I'd call them Jenny Gins.
Jenny Jens. That would be a good nick for
Yeah.
you.
Hmm.
So I know you're going to appear on our Jen show, Jen. So, but yes, I other Jens who are in the community, you can reach out to myself or Jen Aldrich, and yeah, well, the plan is to get all the Jens on at various points, and continually having people come back and be part of it. So I mean, it won't be a
Well, we
weekly
could try to
show
stack it
because
with
it's
as
too
many
hard to
as you
organize.
possibly can fit.
Oh yeah, I mean, if we do it in meets, we can have a lot more people than if it's in StreamYards. Um, although, I mean, sorry, Google Hangouts, but I mean, Hangouts isn't as nice to put into displays and stuff as StreamYards is. But yeah, I don't know.
At
I may
my
have to
shop,
invest in Zoom, which annoys me a little.
Hmm.
Yeah.
we reached a critical mass of mats and we had to give every mat a different name. So there was Matt, there was Matt, there was Matty, there was Matt Splat. Um,
Well, I mean, we've gotten
and it
like
went
that,
on.
Jen. I mean, that's why I started changing my nick to Auntie Jen so that people can just say Auntie to me instead of having to say Jen. So,
Well,
uh,
it's funny because I was mentioning before about how I was hanging out with a bunch of other Kates, and we all had to take different spellings to know who was who online.
yeah,
I was Keight, like eight with a K in front of it,
cool.
and I just killed the conversation.
Yeah, I'm just
Okay.
wondering how you separated out like that. You'd have to say Kate with the I.
Well, I mean, there was Kate, Kait, Kayte, and I'm trying to remember. I know there was another one, but yeah. So, I mean, granted, in person we didn't so much with that, but streaming wasn't a thing yet because this was what 2004, maybe.
Oh.
So,
Did you want to hop in, Ilya? We could do more chats.
Or it could be Kaate.
well, I know we didn't have that, but that's not a bad idea.
Or Ka with an umlaut. Just because umlauts look cool. You know,
Yeah.
or
Well, I
the
mean, that's one of the things of like we were talking before about music and how I listen to the occasional Swedish band,
circle.
and
Yeah.
man, some of the stuff they put over their vowels, I don't know how to interpret any of it.
Oh, so it has. What are those things called? The accents that they put over things.
Well, I mean, because they do have the
Diacriticals.
umlauts, but they also have this weird little circly thing over them, and yeah.
Those are diacritical marks.
What does that do to a vowel sound?
It depends on the mark.
Yeah, because they're all different.
Oh, I
Aren't
thought
they?
you meant
I,
specifically
I,
the
I,
circle was. Never mind.
Hey, Punchy.
I know the little squiggly thing on an N in
Spanish.
Spanish is new. New.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's,
Hello.
and I know it's called a
So
tilde.
Hey, Ilya.
Hi.
yes,
How are
that
ya?
one we call it a tilde, the squiggly thing.
Yep.
I'm good. Thanks for sending me a link. How are
Oh, hi,
you?
Hi,
Ilya,
you're very welcome.
Lady
Hi,
I'm
Pizza.
Jenny, honey.
I'm
This
not
was
sure
going
we've
to be a
necessarily
debunking
met
stream, but as the
before.
first hour it was just me and Kate, we ended up talking about politics and song and music. So
Yeah, I'm not sure
Yeah, I
we've
don't
met
think we've
before.
met. Mm-mm.
Well, hi, I'm Kate,
No.
also known as Bionic Dance.
I'm
Kate with a
Ilya.
K.
Nice to meet you.
Hi.
you
And
guys
this is
should
Ilya with
ask
an
Kate
L.
onto the uncalled for at some point.
Yeah, I know. I've been thinking about guests for after mid-May because we're kind of booked out through mid-May,
You're
but
so
yeah,
busy with
definitely.
guests. I I
Hmm.
Um,
I don't know how you keep up with it.
Ilya
it's
Boss Lady,
called
did the reviews come in for the last show with
See,
Vishanti and I?
see, unlike you guys, I am completely
Yeah, that was good.
disorganized. When I realized that Jay, well, I mean, I know Jay's been sick most of the week, but when I realized that, yeah, it wasn't until last night that I realized that, hang on, Jay's not going to be doing a show this morning, and people like to have something to come to and watch at this point, and I'm like, that's actually my responsibility.
Yeah.
so so I'm like 2 o'clock in the morning for me, when I really should have been in bed asleep, sending out questions to people like Dick and that, and say who can join me. And Dick goes, I might be able to. I'll send out links to all the shills and everyone. But yeah, it just kind of didn't work out. So so Kate
Oh, no
joined and we
worries.
just ended up talking. So that's cool.
No worries at all. Yeah, everything's good with the uncalled for. Vashanti and Jenny did a fantastic job when I had to be out that last Sunday. You guys knocked it out of the park. That was a great show. And I watched it, and Amy was all worried. She's like, I'm not good at hosting. I don't feel like I did as good as you. And I'm like, no, you did great. It was great. So,
Oh, Amy is
um,
delightful.
Amy is so delightful. I love our panel. I love everyone.
No, you guys are
Tomorrow,
amazing.
She's she's my
thank
favorite
you.
zombie I've ever met.
Tomorrow we have Crafty Keela coming on and Danger Hissy. Those are our
Oh,
guests tomorrow.
Hissy is. Look, I will guarantee. You think I can talk over people and talk on? You are not going to get a word in edgeways with Hissy. But she is absolutely adorable. I love her to bits. So
Yeah, tomorrow night we are debunking the transformed wife, some more girl defined,
oh, you poppy.
and well, I think the funniest show ever was the show that I set up with Jenny Morgan and Vishanti because I picked out all the videos.
Also, they didn't know what was happening and you weren't there.
No, I picked out all the videos and none of them knew what was coming.
Oh, that is so cruel.
It was the greatest show, though. They rolled with it and it was hilarious. So
I have videos. I had videos picked
I'd
up
like
for this.
I'd like to do a show
yeah.
where you pick your guests just based on how interesting their name is. Like Danger Hissy. I think that's a great name.
I love that
Growly
name.
Bite. I love her name.
Oh, Growly.
Next Sunday, Mama Atheist is coming on. So that's going to be good. And then the Sunday after is my birthday celebration because my birthday is that weekend.
Oh, cool.
So we're going to celebrate and do an ally event where we're going to have men join the panel.
Ooh.
That'll be fun.
So you're going to let Dick take over?
For what it's
No,
worth,
You said you're going to have.
I'm glad your parents
men on the
fucked.
panel.
Okay.
Well, that's the best way to say happy birthday, I think.
I'm glad your parents fucked.
Yeah. Well, either that or like your continued mortal existence pleases me, pitiful earth creature.
I know. I want to like not have my next few birthdays because I'm 39 this year. And I'm like, I'm not ready for the 40. I'm not ready.
Look,
well, as someone who's 44, it's not so bad.
Yeah, I'm creeping up on 50, so yeah.
I just feel like
you're a youth.
Gosh,
you are the youth in this one.
I just feel like I was telling Punchy the other day. I'm like, I'm putting on weight. I feel like I'm just falling apart. He's like, you're beautiful. Shut up. I'm like, no. I'm starting to get crow's feet. But it's all good.
What? Hang on. A link to my Twitter on for what, Sam? For this stream, I did post this stream on my Twitter.
But yeah, I mean, we have a great lineup, and the week after that is Glober Mommy's 1 year anniversary on YouTube, so we're going to celebrate that. But then after that, it's time to start booking people again. So, Bionic Dance, by all means, I would love to have you join us. We are the Uncalled For, and there's 4 of us women on the panel, and we basically debunk a lot of various notions when it comes to women and what people think of women. So, like, we do a lot of incel and MGTOW debunking, and then a lot of blue pill, red pill, black pill debunking. And then we also take on
black pill.
It's worse than a red pill. It's new.
It's new. So, no wonder I haven't heard of it.
What would happen if someone took the red pill and the blue pill at once, I wonder? Like at the same time?
I think that would make it a purple pill. And if that's the case, then the red pills would completely deny them and say that they were sellouts. So.
Well, that's cool. Have you ever watched The Big Bang Theory?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, I love that show.
Love it.
Because I didn't know a lot about incels. I had heard about the concept, but I didn't really do my homework on it until recently, and I realized Howard Wolowitz is an incel, or at least was until he finally decided, okay, I'll be with Bernadette. Because there was that one episode where he was saying, I always pictured myself with like Halle Berry or what's her face who played Starbuck on Battlestar Galactica and this, that, and the other thing. And, so he had that mental image of like someone, I saw an article about incels. He said that incels ignore anyone who's not a 10, basically.
Yes.
And so I'm sitting here thinking that describes Howard Wolowitz. He is an incel.
Yes. Howard
so
was an
basically
incel until
incels are
Bernadette.
jerks.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think so. Our very first show of the Uncalled For, Jenni Morgan was our first guest, and she was the best first guest to have. I love Jenni. And
She's gone dark again.
we
she's having
dove
problems with Google.
into an incel that has a big hate boner for women. Big one. Specifically me and Amy Hogan. The video we debunked was him calling us out. Calling me out for being too smart, and who cares about the fact that I have a degree.
Wait, too smart?
Yes, that men do not care about my brains, that I'm supposed to be barefoot, pregnant, and standing in the kitchen cooking and staying in shape for my man.
Wow.
He's not smart enough
that's
to
what he
understand the
thinks.
concept of sapiosexual.
Yes. So Jenni Morgan was our first guest, and we ripped him to shreds.
Yeah, he had a hate boner for you guys for quite a while.
He still does. He still comes. He came in the chat last week.
Said anything.
No, what he said was
that he said anything nasty about me.
No, it's okay.
He hasn't said anything nasty about you, but what he said was that he thinks it's ridiculous that the Uncalled For talk about him, and that we really aren't LGBTQ advocates. Even though we have them on our show, we're really the bad people who hate them. And I'm sitting there thinking, oh, fuck off with that narrative.
Well,
he can fuck right off with that narrative. He can fuck right off with that narrative, because, I mean, I'll be the first to tell you, I am pansexual. Now, I'm a monogamist, and I'm with Punchy, but I am pan, and there is nothing about me that has anything against the LGBTQ community at all. So for him to try to spin that around and make it something it's not really pissed me off. So I don't really give a fuck. But we don't talk about him anymore on the show.
Yeah.
Because
that's just another piece of his fragile ego and defensiveness.
Well, he did another video that was worse after that about us, and yeah.
Ilya likes your pigtails, does she? Does she punch you? She likes it when you put on the little skirt too.
That's adorable.
Hey, those are personal secrets.
That's adorable.
He is adorable.
But just remember, Punchy, that's how it starts. I'm warning you, cautioning you.
Well, it won't matter to Ilya. She's pan.
It would not matter to me at all. He, she, they can be whoever they want to be. I really do love Punchy. We've been together now for quite a while.
Wow.
We just didn't tell anybody right away.
That's fair enough. He is awesome.
He is, and I'm going to Canada in the fall after COVID slows down. I'm going to go there and spend some time there with him, and then he's going to come here and spend some time with me, and then we're going to make a decision on next steps, because
Oh, that's so sweet. I love it.
But yeah, I mean, things are good. Why are you jelly?
Because I'm always jelly of people with cool relationships.
Do you want me to pick you up and take you with me to Canada, and then you can just live with me and Punchy?
No, I don't think
At least you'd have health care.
And I don't have a passport.
You'd have health care, though.
Yeah, free health care.
That's the best
That's
bit.
true. That's true.
I love
Except
you
for
guys so
threesomes, no, I
much.
don't think I
I
don't
love
think
you
I'd do
too,
well in
Ilya.
a threesome.
Well, yeah, I know, but I'm just saying, there might be some
I know that wasn't an
cute,
offer. I'm just teasing.
there might be some cute ladies in Winnipeg. I'm just
Oh, I'm sure
saying.
there are.
There are
So one
cute
thing I'm
people
often
everywhere.
wondering, if
Sorry.
if you could take one of those guys who's always like it's the woman's job to be barefoot and pregnant and blah blah blah, if you could like magically poof them into a female body, would they still feel the same way? Like is it just, oh, look at me, I didn't get the short end and therefore that's why this is awesome, or do they really feel that way?
They'd also end up being highly
I think
dysphoric,
if you
which would
took your
be
basic
hellish funny for
incel,
them. For us, not for them.
Sorry, I
I
didn't
think
catch
they
any
have
of that.
problems.
Yeah, they'd end up highly dysphoric if you suddenly put them into a into a female
Well,
body.
okay, you know what I'm saying is like
I know what you're saying.
how much of their willingness to say that men are on top and women are bottom, not sexually speaking, shut up, would they actually still feel the same way, like in terms of how society ought to be organized?
Yeah.
I think if you took an incel and you put them in a woman's body, they would commit suicide within a month after they realize that how badly they're treated just because they're female. I don't
Possibly.
think they could take it.
Yeah.
I don't think they're
Yeah.
tough enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know.
I'll
I,
just put.
I just wonder how, I guess I'm just saying is I wonder how much of their idea of how society ought to be organized is centered around the fact that they are the top of the food chain.
Hmm.
You know what I
Mm,
mean?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I get what you
I
mean.
just think they're assholes. Yeah. I thank you for the link. I told you I'd pop on for a minute, but I couldn't stay long, and that is
No, it's
correct. So I'm
okay,
gonna hop.
Ilya.
Yeah, but I love you guys,
Love you too.
and I will find you on Twitter and send you a message. Is it Kate?
Yeah,
Yes.
Bionic Dan.
Yes. Yes. So just look for Ilya Moon and I'll send you a message and maybe you can join us on the uncalled for as we rip misogynistic, narcissistic assholes to shred and, have fun with us.
Cool. I'd
So,
love to.
alrighty. Well, I'm going to be in the side chat for a few while I have my snack and then I've got a video date with,
Some
my
man.
honey and pigtails.
Oh. Don't do anything I wouldn't do.
Oh,
see
well,
you
that
later,
That
Ilya.
restricts
leaves
nothing.
everything on the table, but
Yeah.
So, like, I'm looking for you on Twitter, and I don't know if I've found you. Is your? Oh, yes, I did. That is definitely you.
Yeah,
Okay,
uncalled
cool.
for. Yep.
okay. I'll talk to y'all later. Love, love, love.
Alright. Love ya. Bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Yeah, her icon on Twitter is not the same as it is on here. But when
No.
I clicked on the link, it said the uncalled for, and I'm like, well, that would be one hell of a coincidence if it's not
Yeah,
her.
no, that's
So,
definitely her.
yeah.
No, Iliad's good people. So.
Well,
And
she
Uncalled
seemed
For's, oh yeah, and the Uncalled For's a good little show. Well, decent sized show actually, isn't it now? Jen?
I'd actually never heard of it till now.
I've been on. I think it was the 4th or 5th week, something like that.
Hmm.
That's fairly
It
early.
is
Not as
interesting.
early as Jen. No, she was the opening star,
Ah,
weren't you, Jen?
it,
That's what I'm told.
Yep. See, and
I
you were
didn't
always
see the
telling
show
me you're
before
not
that,
popular
so
and people
it must
don't
be
want
true.
you, but it's not true.
I'm
It's
sorry, you
not.
broke up. What'd you say?
I said you're always telling me that you're unwanted and people don't want you, but that's not true.
Oh, I'm mostly talking about an intimate relationship when I say that, not just as a human migrating through the world. I'm
Hey,
able to get
Nana,
along with people in that. But
we got a few people in the chat now. It's good. It's good having a few people in the chat.
looks like there's 14 watching.
Yeah, that's not too bad for something I threw together at the last minute. Though you do
Yeah.
much better
Jay,
than that, but you've got a lot more followers. So.
Well,
Jay says that
I'd
he
like to
looks
think I
adorable
do
in
even
pigtails
better than
too.
I do, though, which is kind of a shame. But well, whatevs.
Yeah, it is kind of disappointing sometimes when you look at your yeah, I've got these people sub to me and yeah, no, not getting the but I mean anytime you put a stream on or you put out a video, you're going to compete with somebody else.
True.
And streams are the worst ones to do that with. If you put out a video, people can at least watch them later. But most streams, if people aren't available to watch them when they happen, don't end up being watched. So,
There were a couple of times when I was like, I'd really like to do a stream right now. And then I look and I'm like, oh, but someone else is doing theirs. And theirs is like a weekly scheduled thing. And if I start doing this, someone's going to get pissy about it. So I'm not going to.
well, my thought with this was, I mean, the time I started, well, I was late, but that's beside the point. The time when this was on is the time that Jay would normally run a stream anyway, and because he's sick, running a stream at this time, I didn't have a problem with it. I knew it would conflict with Shannon Q and a couple other people, but that always happens, so I'm like, yeah, I don't mind that too much. It's going to happen, and not everybody wants to sit and watch Shannon Q. I love Shannon, she's pretty awesome, but there are people who would rather come and listen to us talk shit than actually, depending on who Shannon's actually talking to. And, of course, Shannon's streams don't necessarily go for a couple hours, so people might hop in afterwards, and I'm sure that's why there's a few people who are here now who weren't here earlier, because they were listening to other things earlier and have come across later. It's just the way of YouTube.
Well, sometimes you want PBS, and other times you want WrestleMania.
That's right. Well, I wouldn't call this either of those, but
No,
This is closer to America's Funniest Home Videos, really.
Oh yeah, that's exactly what this is. America's Funniest Home Video. Hey, Tornado.
Except no one's getting hit in the crotch.
If you want to hop in, Tornado, I know we're not doing debunking, but there is a link in the movie nights thing. You're more than welcome to hop in. I don't know if I'd bother bringing up the debunking thing now because I'm like, we're 2 hours into this stream. I don't know how much longer we go for, but
Has it really been 2 hours? Oh my gosh, it has time. Well,
it's
Lou.
not exactly because we started late, but it's about over an hour and a half. So
I mean, it's like if someone told me it had been 45 minutes, I would have gone, oh, I guess so. It's just time flew on this stream. Crazy.
Has. Oh, we was talking music. That's what it was. Because I don't want to say it was talking politics.
Right.
Dear.
Yeah, if you kept talking politics, it might have felt more like 5 hours.
Yeah. Yeah, and no, Jay, we haven't talked about vagina candles.
Oh, no, that has not come up yet. Maybe I shouldn't have said yet.
Yeah. I've got an interesting
Jen, there's a
story
request
about
from
vagina
Raven.
candles,
She'd like to explain vagina candles.
Well, you know the whole Gwyneth Paltrow, this candle smells like my vagina thing that she put out a while back?
Yep. She's selling candles that supposedly smell like a vagina.
I mean, I get the impression that actually they smell like some sort of wacky spice thing that spiritually smells like her vagina or something. Like, I don't think you're going to get that unwashed fish aroma from her candle.
An interesting story about vagina candles, though. Any trans woman who had their surgery, who had their Junkyard Tornado.
Yes,
anyone,
you can actually see my avatar here.
I can. You're a bit soft though.
Oh, let me change that.
Yep.
No, you gotta behave, Tornado. You're in the ladies' room here.
Any trans woman who had their surgery in the from the early 90s to early 2000s in Thailand didn't get proper dilators. They got given candles and condoms. Yep.
They got what?
Candles
Okay.
and condoms.
How's this?
Oh, good lord.
That's bizarre.
It is, isn't it?
How's my audio? still soft?
Well, we can hear you, so kind of terrible. I'm kidding.
No, it's a bit louder. Tornado. How are you doing, Tornado?
I'm doing good.
How could that
boost it all the way up to 100?
That wouldn't even
Here we go.
work.
That should be better now. But still, I'm doing good. It's kind of slow over here. Basically, nothing really major that has actually happened between life normally and life now. In other words, basically, we're abiding. It's kind of the same. It's just now, whenever Mom goes to the store, I have to tell her to wash her hands every damn time.
Yeah, I finally have proper sanitizing gear, so I feel okay about going outside more than I did, but even so.
Yeah. So I'm betting Tornado would like to do a debunk. Just so he can get angry. I actually picked out a video specifically for you, Tornado.
Well, first, when it comes to debunking...
Sorry?
I actually had a debunk once where I debunked Bruce Lipton's numbers about a human containing 70 trillion volts worth of electricity in their body to be used to be focused.
We lost you, Tornado.
70 trillion volts in a single human.
Oh, wow.
To be focused through training and meditation to be used for healing.
Okay, if I had that much electricity in my body and I was going to use meditation to focus it, I would become a superhero, not healing myself. I'd be shooting my enemies with lightning bolts if I could do that.
That would be awesome. Electricity would be an amazing power.
Yeah, if you actually manage to live long enough
is
to
the
use
thrill.
it. Because I think I have it
amperage
somewhere.
Is the kick.
Because you know how voltage is current times resistance, right?
Yeah.
Or, I mean, current is voltage times resistance, or divided by resistance. So let me look for that thing I have. Basically, I come up with this mega calculation that showed that anyone with Bruce Lipton's claimed amount of electricity would basically be turning into a pile of chunky salsa. If I can find it here. No, it's before then.
I have a video by a flat earther who yeah, you actually did an impersonation of the other day.
Who, Catword?
Yeah.
E equals I over R.
Yeah, I'm trying to find it.
I'm not sure if the audio sharing is going to work though. If I decided to play it, that would be the only thing. So, because I didn't have time to test it. So if I share screen to you guys, do you guys get the audio?
Dunno. Try it.
I'll give it a go. Let's see what happens here. Wrong button.
Here we go. I found it. I kind of want to present it since it's actually nothing really major. It's just images. So can I present?
Oh yeah, go for it. Thanks a lot.
Okay, so this is going to be in my Discord. Select window or screen, Firefox sharing. No, I don't want the Firefox sharing indicator. I'll use that. Okay, allow the entire screen.
Yep.
Okay, so you guys can see it, right?
No, there we go.
Okay, so, Team Skeptic. A few things you forgot to cover, which really should have made this an idiot video. Bruce Lipton claims that a single human has, in total, 70 trillion volts in their body, which can be focused through training and meditation to be used for healing. The most powerful lightning bolts contain 1 billion volts worth of electricity. This means that Bruce Lipton claims that the human body contains the same output energy as 70,000 of the most powerful lightning bolts on Earth all at once. On average, 100 lightning bolts strike the Earth every second. This means that, according to Bruce Lipton, a single human contains 11.67 minutes worth of lightning striking the Earth. In the best case scenario, for number 3, in the best case scenario, the average human has a resistance of 100 kiloohms. Since Ohm's law states that current is voltage divided by resistance, this means that a human would be subject to 700 million amps. It takes only 0.1 to 0.2 amps to kill a normal human. Now, think about how little power it takes to actually kill a normal human, and then think about how much power is running through this one human. 700 million amps. And then think about what would happen if that human tried to use all that power.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that would be one hell of a concert. Imagine all those amps. Sorry, I'll just be over here.
Oh, this also means that in the best case scenario, due to Ohm's law, a standard human, according to Bruce Lipton, should be able to output a mind-boggling 4.9 times 10 to the 22nd times 4.9 times 10 to the 22nd power watts. The sun's total output energy is 384 or 3.84 times 10 to the 26th, or I think it's 10 to the 24th power watts. This means that a standard human would be able to match the total output energy of the fucking sun after only about 131 minutes.
Yeah.
It gets even worse though. Let's assume that 4.9 times 10 to the 22nd watts is released in 1 second. That is 4.9 times 10 to the 22nd joules, since a watt second is a joule. This means that if a single human were to release all their energy, stored energy, in 1 second, the amount of energy Bruce Lipton claims a human has, that human would fucking explode with a yield of 11,700,281,070.745 kilotons of TNT.
Oh, wow.
I put the yield into classic nuke map and showed the results of what would happen if such a blast went off in New York, and everything out to Goffstown, New Hampshire would get turned into a glass floor. The thermal pulse would reach out to Azur in Russia, and that's the best case. This image
So what you're
takes
saying
place in
is that
Florida.
this concert with all of the amps would star Jewel. I'll just be over here.
The
Alright,
program that I
Slow
use.
slow down a sec. Slow down a sec. Okay, ask your question.
Yeah.
This concert that would have all of the like trillions of amps would star Jewel, right?
Oh, ha 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 ha. Bad electricity pun is bad.
Yeah,
I
well,
like it.
I don't know. I just think that if we went there and absolutely worshipped her, we'd all be going Om, Om. But that's just never mind.
Praise the
Well,
Now, of course, the program that I'm showing off here is Nuke Map, or at least an image of Nuke Map, and that little green circle right around here, that's where I live. Look how wide the thermal pulse, look how wide the fireball actually stretches. That is basically the entire city of, that is basically the entirety of most of Central Florida, actually most of Florida in general, being turned into a glass floor.
Or maybe that's what happened 65 million years ago.
Oh, but it
so
gets
like
worse.
the dinosaurs were trying to heal themselves with the electricity in their bodies and caused a massive discharge.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, facts 3.
It's
So
better than
dinosaurs
I
had a
think they
massive
were,
discharge.
they were fucking around with those ancient Egyptian lanterns and batteries and stuff.
Anyway, but it gets worse. Facts
It
3
always
to
does.
5 were calculated using a dry, unbroken skin-wearing human, but not every human has dry and or unbroken skin. If the skin is broken or wet, the average human's resistance drops from 100 kiloohms to 1 kiloohm, and at that point, we're in a whole other ball game. Once again, thanks to
Tornado?
Ohm's law, we can calculate this new current with the same level of volts, but only 1 kiloohm resistance. Current, 70 billion amps. Power, 4.9 times 10 to the 24th watts.
Tornado?
Yeah?
Why do you worry about something like this?
Well, it was on a video of Bruce Lipton's, and it's not so much me worrying, it's just Team Skeptic said he wasn't going to do an idiot video on it, and I ran some numbers that really should have made it an idiot video.
So basically, someone was wrong on the internet. That's why this.
People are always wrong on the internet.
Well, I know, but that's the thing.
Someone was wrong on the internet, so Team Skeptic did a video about how wrong this someone was on the internet. But Team Skeptic was also wrong on the internet. So I had to step in and say, Team Skeptic, this guy's an idiot.
He doesn't have to do his idiot counters, though.
Yeah, by the way, the second yield, that's how bad it is. Right there.
Cool.
I'd gotten some friends from that had seen this the last time I ran numbers like this, and they said, and I quote, that is not just a planet, that's not just carving a hole in the planet. What you have there is Krypton from DC, one of the Sith homeworlds from Star Wars, or some planet-breaking ship from Warhammer.
Yeah. It's pretty intense.
That's the kind of energy we're talking about here. Just hot damn. Anyway, you said something about a debunk video?
Well, I do have one, so
let's see it.
If the audio will share...
Yeah, you were going to try sharing it to see if we could hear the audio.
Yeah, I'll share it with you guys and see if you can actually hear the audio application. Where is it? That's it. So if I share that, can you guys hear it? Oh, the stream will hear it too, but...
Hello, Flat Earth researchers, debaters, and debunkers. Lovely sunrise.
Can you?
Nope.
How do you share audio in this app? There must be a way to do it.
You'd think, but the sheer number of times I've encountered programs and apps where it's like you'd think they'd realize the users would want to do this thing and build in the feature, and they just never did.
Yeah.
So...
Because if I share my speaker back to you, you guys will get lots of echo.
I mean, it's worth a shot.
What? Sharing my output back to you guys. Yeah, no, the echo will be horrendous because everything I hear, you guys will hear. So, unless
you are using OBS, right?
I am.
Because I know there's a way in OBS to tell it to use some of the audio from a specific input source.
Yes, you can.
But I don't know if you can make us hear it too.
That only works if I can set a particular output. So I might be able to do that. Hang on. If I do this differently, so if I can change... Oh, they still have to be able to hear it though, don't they?
Yeah, it probably won't work just because OBS is undoubtedly outputting to YouTube rather than to the Hangout, so we probably won't be able to hear it anyway.
Yeah, no, OBS is only outputting to YouTube, so I'd actually have to share my stuff back to you guys. How can I do it? There must be a way to do audio in here because I'm pretty sure we used to use it for doing stuff like this.
Well, I've gotten to a point where I've been on so many streams that have used so many different applications or systems, websites, whatever, to do the stream that I can't even remember which one can and can't do what anymore.
By the way, nice gif of Columbia.
GIF.
Thank you, Kate. You are correct.
Indeed. I was actually correct about that long before there was a controversy about it. Like, I remember the first time I encountered the format, just immediately my brain went GIF.
That's not what I meant to do.
I think partly because it just alliterated best with JPEG. You know, GIF and JPEG. It works.
All I know is that the woman who invented the format calls it GIF.
Woman?
It would be like
I've seen the guy
Albert
on
Einstein that
stage.
E equals MC squared should be E equals I over R or something else. You know,
Well, I've seen the creator of the GIF format, and it's like totally some dude who looks like your great uncle-in-law or something. So, and I know he said choosy developers choose GIF just like choosy moms choose GIF. But I don't remember it being invented by a woman.
I don't know who actually authored it. I don't know who actually authored it. If I don't know who authored something, I'll assign it to a woman.
No, I've seen imagery of the guy. I saw him accepting an award. It was some weird award where, like, when you receive it, you're only allowed to say 5 words about it. And so he basically said, it's pronounced GIF, was what he said.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all that matters. That's what the author said.
Hello! It's Mom Nato.
I'm gonna step out.
How are you?
Hello! I'm okay. How about you guys?
Yeah, good.
So what are you?
I'm gonna step out, Jen.
Well, we're trying to get a video
breaking up too bad.
Debunk fuckwit.
Okay. Sorry, Jen.
Okay, who's fuckwit?
That's alright.
Ever heard of Phuket word?
Hello, flat Earth researchers, debaters, and debunk.
No, it's fuckwit.
Okay. Whatever. It's another idiot.
Yeah, he's definitely an idiot. He is.
Did you want me to
Sure.
Okay. Let me get it for you before you go outside.
Hold on, Mom's getting the other headset, so that way I can turn down my microphone and not blow out you guys' eardrums. So if you guys hear me get quiet for a little bit, that's why.
Okay.
Okay.
Video. How do I change it out?
I'm sure they all appreciate me giving you the headset.
Right. 75 should be good.
Yeah,
Switching.
this is something I'm going to have to figure out. I've got all the tools to be able to do it. I just, yeah.
Well, if it turns out that we can't actually manage it, I mean, I love science. I'm just not very good at it. When it comes to debunking things, I tend more towards the philosophical area, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So if we don't get to it, well,
Momnito says bye.
I'll probably have more to say
basically.
anyway, even if we don't do it.
You can have it.
Thank you.
Hello, flat Earth research.
Talking to Mom.
I can hear that. So,
I mean, maybe someday I should probably learn more about science. I mean, I know enough to get by, but there's a lot of stuff where I'm just like, huh? So I usually defer to the experts on that sort of thing, unless it's something I can easily check for myself.
Yeah, like the whole flood story from Kent Hovind.
That one's easy enough.
okay, is that echoing on you guys? And can you still hear me?
I can hear you. I hear no echo.
But no echo, but I can't hear the video.
So no, you wouldn't hear the video because I'm not playing it. But can you can hear me still?
There's
You
no
are audible, and there is no echo from you.
Can you hear
Or
me?
anyone else
Debaters
at the moment.
and debunkers. Lovely
I'm gonna say no.
sunrise this morning.
He's going to say no. Okay.
Well, I when you said, "Can you hear this?" and I heard nothing else, no.
So it must be the other output that it needs to be. Far out. What have I just done? There's the hangout.
Let's see what pearls of wisdom Fuckwit has to divulge to us.
Alright. Is that echoing now for you guys?
I hear no echo.
No echo.
Okay.
But I also don't hear any extra audio either.
No, I'm not playing it yet. Now I'm playing it.
That would be why then.
Hello, flat Earth researchers, debaters,
We hear it.
and
You can
That's
hear
audible.
that? That's awesome. Alright, so I will put this on the screen because they will be able to hear that.
Let's see what stupid we get to debunk today.
We won't spin a wheel, but yes, we're going to see what stupid we can get to. Okay, I'll have to change what I'm grabbing to be. You'll see. Oh, look at that. I turn that on. Yep, people can see that.
I
The
spent
chat can
most of
hopefully
today
hear it. I'm
asleep.
sorry
Why
I
am I
had to mess
tired
around to do
again?
that. Let's go then. Hopefully the chat can hear
Sharing
the video.
screens.
Let's go.
Hello, Flat Earth researchers, debaters, and debunkers.
Oh, yeah, I haven't
Lovely.
shared the video to you guys, have I?
No.
Sorry about that. Got ahead of myself there. Share screen. Application. That one. Share. There you go. You guys should be able to see that now.
Yep.
And so can the chat say, let's do it.
The sunrise this morning here in Portishead. Of course, we see a sun that appears to be below the clouds. Do we see the bottoms of those clouds being lit up by the sun that appears to be lower than them? Of course not.
Drink!
But the film is just a few minutes.
I thought you'd be saying drink there.
But
yeah,
even
you
I
can.
know that this works.
Well, of course it. I mean, for a start, you can see the bottom of the clouds, at least the ones at the distance being lit up. You're not going to see the closer ones being lit up because they're in the shadow of the other freaking clouds.
Plus, if you look at it another way, you can actually see the tops of the clouds being illuminated.
Yeah, so the sun is obviously still partly above them. It hasn't sunk low enough in the horizon yet.
And it's sunrise, so
it would be more likely to illuminate the bottom of those clouds. It's not low enough to hit the bottom yet.
Oh, he said sunrise, didn't he? Yeah, not sunset.
Yeah.
So he's deliberately started it late enough that he's not going to be able to show what actually does happen.
Now, of course, the big issue here is if he were to go out early in the morning, like, before the sun had risen,
yeah,
to his perspective, you would guarantee that he would be able to see the bottom of those clouds being lit up.
Oh, definitely.
But he didn't. I wonder why.
Yeah.
Just how much does the atmosphere bend the sun's light anyway?
It depends how much of the atmosphere it has to go through.
Okay.
Yeah.
But generally not very much.
Yeah. During a sunset or a sunrise, you actually see the sun come over the horizon. Either come over the horizon when it's rising slightly before it actually has, or see it go down slightly after it actually has dropped below the horizon. But the more atmosphere and the more moisture in that atmosphere, the more it's bent. The more it gets bent around. But yeah, it's not actually that much. It's only a couple of degrees. It's just the distances involved are quite large. So.
Does he at all get into, like, the color of the sky when the sun is lower than when it's higher?
I can't remember. It's been a couple of months since I downloaded this video.
Well, because, I mean, the sky is blue, because if it was green, we wouldn't know where to stop mowing.
But he also misses the whole point of the whole reason why the color from the sun changes as we hit sunset or sunrise is because the sunlight is having to travel through more of the atmosphere, so it's getting scattered more.
Well, yeah.
And thus the shorter wavelengths of light get scattered out, while the longer wavelengths tend to stay around a little bit longer, which is why we have red sunrises and sunsets, but blue afternoons.
Yeah,
it's not entirely unlike the Doppler effect.
Sorry?
I said it's not entirely unlike the Doppler effect. Not completely.
Yeah. Well, it's a case
of the parallels, is what I'm saying.
Well, it's like it in the sense that because you've got different wavelengths of light, so they're at different frequencies. Each of those different frequencies have different penetrating capabilities. So
exactly,
the longer the wavelength, the more easier it is for it to get through. So red light gets through easier, whereas the blues and greens and that get scattered more. So we see,
which is more or less what I was saying. Yeah. I mean, it's about the frequency of the light.
Yeah. So it's Yeah, it's. But of course, if you were living on a flat Earth, your sun never goes down lower, so you're actually not going through that much more atmosphere on a flat Earth. So the sky should be blue all the time, because you should never have nighttime.
Well, but I mean, okay, it's weird because I'm never sure how these people justify the existence of nighttime. I mean, is the sun supposed to be a spotlight? Are time zones completely wrong? I mean, what?
They
How do
say
these
the
people
sun is a
claim-
magic. Apparently, the sun is supposedly a magic flying spotlight.
So it is.
But that would mean it would still be visible 24/7, because even if you're not in a direct pattern of illumination of a spotlight, you can still see the damn thing shining.
Well, unless it's hooded.
Even then, you'd still see the shining of the light. Enough of the light
Okay,
would
it's
scatter
magical
anyway.
then. That's how they say it's
it has to be
magical. We
magical.
explain it
Yes.
through nothing more than hand wavium.
Yeah. Oh, that is a brilliant term, Kate. Hand waving.
I stole it from somewhere. I wish I could take credit, but yeah.
Yeah, that's all the flat Earth has is hand wavium.
Yeah. Oh, that's I'm borrowing that from now on. Hand wavium is awesome. Alright, shall I play it?
Sure.
You would have seen the sun just poking up over the horizon, and what we do see is those clouds up there lit up. So of course, what is this? This is the result of perspective. It is not the result of being on a globular spinning Earth that's rotating to create this sun.
Go on, rage.
Sorry, it's Pavlovian at this point. Every time I hear stupid, I have to shout drink.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to ask, are we going to be using that system from movie night for saying we want to break in, just shouting drink,
no, you
or
don't
is
have to. There's only
that
three
this
of us.
tornadoes thing?
Just shout out.
It's Pavlovian, okay? I've trained myself to shout drink whenever they're stupid.
It is.
But seriously, if you had shown it a few minutes ago, you'd see the bottoms of the clouds being lit up. So, fuckwit, it seems to me that you're just being intellectually dishonest. But then again, is that ever really new with you?
Oh.
You guys are more familiar with this fellow than I am.
His nickname is Gigantor.
Okay.
I'm fuckitward, and I have no idea what I'm talking about. I have no understanding of physics, geometry, meteorology, or mathematics in general. I declare it to be fake based on nothing more than hand wavium. And that's the entire video right there.
Pretty much. He's is definitely one of the more stupid ones.
Oh God.
I put him up there a bit with Ranty, I think.
Starting up the clam stuff again, really? I thought we got enough of that the other night.
Yesterday, the Klamath Day. Oh dear. It happened to Clam. So yeah, I mean, I love the way it's perspective. Yeah. Do you actually understand what that word means?
Perspective.
I think it's a formula where it's like, I'm not sure what it is. I think it's arctan equals G over 2R.
Yeah. But they take the colloquial meaning of perspective.
Well, I mean, perspective is what you use to understand somebody else's point of view.
Yeah, which is, I think, his entire point here. Instead of when he says perspective, he's not talking about the science of vision when you're looking at an object's in distances. He's actually talking about how his perception of something. But our brain's perceptions of things aren't exactly how they are.
Hey, fuckwit, ever heard of that saying, objects in mirror are closer than they appear?
Yeah.
Well, I have a term. I have a sort of similar thing for you specifically. Flat earthers in video are denser than they appear.
Denser than air. That. Flat earthers are denser than air. It's why they they're denser than water. It's why they would sink.
No. If you start going with that route, it'd then be tempting to speculate that flat earthers are so dense that any knowledge that goes into their brains never comes back out again, only to be drawn deeper into the infinite abyss
Well, they are black
of
holes.
the intellectual black hole.
Well, this guy's clearly so dense that light bends around him.
Ooh. I gotta play it again.
Rise. The sun is, as we say, rising, but that's because it's simply coming closer to us on this.
No.
And if
Drink.
the sun was
Damn it, I
coming
did it
closer,
again.
it'd be getting bigger, but it doesn't.
Hey, fuckwit, ever used a solar filter? Oh, wait, that'd require you to actually know what those are and to own a telescope and a camera and solar filters. All I see you owning is the camera. But still,
but don't you know a P900 is the bee's knees? It can do everything.
Yeah, and if you use it and attach a solar filter onto it and use it to track the sun with the zoom maxed out, you'll see, by the way, that's optical zoom, not digital zoom, you'll see that the sun remains the same angular size from sunrise to sunset.
Yep.
Which it would not do if it was actually getting closer to us. Like you claim, fuckwit. And if it was actually getting closer to us, we would see it, above us all the time. There is no way that this can work.
But here's another thing about that. If the sun was small and local, it would have to be giving off a lot less heat than what our long-distance sun is, right? Which means as the sun moved closer to you during the day, it will get significantly warmer. I don't just mean a few degrees. It would be like, in early morning, it would be tens of degrees colder than it was by the time it was midday. And our day temperatures don't vary by that much over a single day, usually.
Well, try living in Vermont.
Okay, there are some places that have stupid shitty weather.
Yeah.
But on the whole, the temperature of the day doesn't change by more than about 4 or 5 degrees.
It happened one day in Missouri when I think the temperature started out near freezing and then it shot up all the way to 90.
Yeah. But it is unusual. It's not a daily occurrence. Which it would be if the sun was the way they thought it was.
Yeah, and on top of that, I have to add in this special fact that the sun's angular speed would also have to vary as it went through its path. So would the moon's angular speed. Both of them would be visible 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, as well as all the stars being visible no matter where you are on Earth.
Oh, and
but there's a pretty good reason why this doesn't happen.
They'd all have to be exactly the same stars. Yeah, it's magic.
Well, they would assume it's magic. Hand-wavium perspective shit. But for us, there's a very simple reason. The Earth is a sphere, and this guy is a fucking idiot. Ding!
Alright.
Stationary Earth. So let me just zoom in. You can see the clouds up there are lit up by the sun that is physically higher than those clouds. Yeah, you can see that. Okay.
Yep, and that's because of a total lack of understanding view of how the sun and the Earth work. The sun is just
the idea of it being higher. Just like, because I'm so used to thinking of the Earth as a sphere, obviously, and so higher is a matter of personal perspective. Is a matter of subjectively, it's higher for me at noon, but it's not actually when compared to the Earth.
Yeah, I mean the sun and the Earth well, they do vary in distance from each other by quite a lot, actually. But the sun isn't so much higher; it's just a long fucking way away, and it's immensely big. You know, these guys can't even fathom how big the Earth is. They can't even think about stuff like that. It's amazing that they could. It's totally understandable that they can't understand how big the sun is and how far away it is when they're struggling to accept how big the Earth is.
Well, it's really easy to not really be able to process just how big even just the planet, our planet, is, even just the city or the state in which you live is, because of how you see it from, the ground level. But I got my hands on Google Earth VR a while back, and just looking at the sheer size of, say, Tokyo, for example, I was like, wow, there are so many people here with so many different stories, and it's this little tiny, tiny splot just in the middle of Japan. Never mind how tiny Japan is compared to the rest of the world. And I was like, this is a humbling experience, realizing just how tiny I personally am relative to the rest of the world. And I don't think these people have the ability to consider that.
What is it? It's the horizons. Depend on a good day. What 7.5 miles? Is that right?
No, that's just your visibility. The horizon itself.
Visibility. Our visible horizon is what I meant. So it's about 7.5 miles. So we're living in a 15-mile diameter circle. Basically, all the time. That is our world. And that's the best. That's if you're out in the middle of fucking nowhere that's flat like a pancake. Oh, I shouldn't say flat. They'll get confused. Has the appearance of being flat like a pancake.
Well, a distance of 15 miles isn't really going to do much when it comes to one side over the other.
Yeah.
But it really does limit our perception of how big the world is.
Yeah. And topography itself limits that down to being even smaller and smaller. And we spend half our time inside houses and buildings, which limits our size down even smaller. So if you're going to try and walk out and look out at the world and then imagine how tiny that little spot is that we're visualizing compared to the entire planet, it's nothing. I can't even see the rest of my city from where I live. You know, that's how big the city is. And my view is much smaller than that. And this city is a dot on a map.
Yeah.
So as you said about Japan, so that's the thing. We can't see the big picture with our senses. So we have to visualize it in our minds. And some people just aren't capable of that.
Yeah, which leads me to another point.
We spend so much of our time in houses. And I find myself wondering, like, if there's someone out there 3, 4, 5 years old, whatever, in the middle of this pandemic where everyone has to stay inside, I wonder how that's going to change their perspective of how big outside is. Like, if this goes until 2022, like they say it might, and these kids have to be inside for that long, my gosh, what will that do? Like, how many people will have agoraphobia after this pandemic, and how many people will have claustrophobia after it just because they either do or don't prefer being cooped? You know what I mean?
There are going to be young kids who go to, if it happens like that, there's going to be young kids who go to school properly for the first time in the next couple of years who aren't going to understand how to socially integrate.
Yeah, it's just a strange thought I just had when, you were talking about we spend how much time in houses and all of that. It's weird.
Yeah, we're a strange species.
Yeah.
We make our own environments. We don't accept the real ones. Alright, I'm going to play you again.
And I challenge anyone to watch a sunrise or a sunset and see the sun apparently below the clouds, and show that clouds, like these cumulus clouds, which are quite thick, being lit up from the underside. Of course, sometimes we see these colors.
I've seen it.
I've seen that. I've seen that plenty of times. Like, not just plenty of times. I've seen it hundreds of times. I've seen it happen after a thunderstorm, for example. I've seen it numerous times just in Missouri. So, Phuket Word, it seems I've already had your challenge beaten before you even issued it. God, I love time travel debunks.
Well, I mean, like the whole thing, I usually notice clouds illuminated from underneath during a sunset more than sunrise just because of when I'm awake and when I'm not. But,
Yeah.
I mean, it happens.
Yeah. I mean,
And
there's some
Phuket
really
is
good
trying to
pictures of
deny
it,
that.
like where you've got a mountain casting a shadow on the underside of the clouds, which if I was smart, I would have queued up the picture so I could show everyone. And yeah, that couldn't happen unless the sun was low enough on the horizon that it was actually illuminating things from underneath, because shadows don't cast in the opposite direction to the way the light's coming from. They're cast by the light. So unless, of course, you're going to say there's a different light source. I mean, the levels of denying that these people have to go to maintain their little delusion is just outstanding.
Mental gymnastics.
It is.
Well, I mean, that's the part that knocks me out is like they're clinging to this idea they have so hard that like the simplest explanation is not one they'll ever accept just because it doesn't fit their conclusion. And, you know, their whole presupposition thing.
Well, it's the same thing you get
it
from
makes me wonder,
young
like, why are they clinging to it so hard? I know there are some people out there who are flat earthers because they think it's funny, but there's others out there who mean it. And it's just hard to
people
picture
who mean it because of religion. They're the same mentality as young Earth creationists. I mean, a lot of them are young Earth creationists as well. So,
and some of them actually even classify science as a religion of scientism.
Yeah, they're a lot of them are Kent Hovind taken to the next level, basically.
What always knocks me out, though, when people don't realize that part of science is having your stuff debunked and having that actually be a good thing. You know, where it's like, I said this, that, or the other thing, and like, here's my conclusion. And someone says, yeah, but you left out this little bit here, and that kind of debunks your conclusion. I mean, it might be vexing to go, oops, man, that sucks. I guess I was wrong. But at the same time, it helps you refocus your efforts to find what's true. But there's a lot of folks out there, religious folks, who seem to think, well, your religion is science, and you believe it no matter what.
Yeah.
And just like, but it's built right into science to not believe it.
Yeah. Well, that's a complete misunderstanding of science, because science is all about the disproving. I mean, it's how something becomes a solid theory, is that it has stood up to these tests. It has had people try to tear it down, and it has stood the test of time. And that's how something becomes a theory. So science is all
like
about,
Bob Noodle's
I'm going to find out if
gyro.
you're fucking wrong. That's what it's about.
Yeah. And don't even get me started on when you tell them it's a theory and they go, yeah, so it's not true, right? It's just a guess, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, you can't even talk to these people.
No.
Now, of course, the whole disproving thing was Bob Noodle was seeking to disprove the Earth's rotation, and instead he actually proved that the Earth rotates by 15 degrees per hour.
15 degrees.
And you know what he had to do with the information? He had to hide it.
Yeah, but it was too late because
quote,
he did it
it looked very bad for Flat Earth.
Yeah, because it proved that they were wrong.
And he had to hide the information and claim the test was inconclusive. So, in other words, he lied.
Yeah.
Well, that's nothing new.
Well, a lot of them are like that.
That the fact that they never allow themselves to succumb to cognitive dissonance, that they run as hard as they can the instant something challenges them, it says a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. Do you want to play some more?
Sure.
All right.
In the clouds when we have a sunrise or a sunset, and that's because the sun is shining through them. We can see those clouds up there are a lot thinner and at a higher altitude. So yeah, where the clouds get thin, the sunlight, as we can see here, is shining through the clouds. When the clouds get too dense for the sunlight to shine through, it does not light up those clouds, and the sun never lights up the clouds from the underside.
Pause.
Bye.
He was right for a few sentences until he said, and so the sun should never light them up from the underside.
But I mean, that's the same
except it's
process.
a very early sunrise and very late sunset, and I've seen it happen, Phuket Ward. You were so close to saying something factual, and then, well, then you open your big dumb mouth and it all reset your correctness counter to 0.
Yeah, but it's what they do, isn't it? That they'll go on about a little bit of truth, and then suddenly it's the lie. And you hear this with creationists all the time. You know, it's that mindset of two things. It's like Ken Ham's thing that to have his arc, he has to have this super fast, highly unrealistic form of evolution that has to happen within his kinds, but evolution isn't real.
Well, I mean, that's one of the things you hear a lot with people who deny evolution, is they are denying something that nobody ever said in the first place.
Oh, it's a straw man. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if they wanted to talk about something that someone actually said the way they said it and meant it, if they took people at their word, it'd be a lot harder for them, but I'd love to see them try it.
Yeah.
Now, of course, one of the most infamous straw men is Kent Hovind saying, now, these guys believe a dog came from a rock.
Oh, yeah. Because, you know, if you put it that way to somebody with the mindset of creationists, it goes, oh, yeah, they're stupid for thinking that. That's not what anyone believes. No one believes that.
You know, one of these days, if we ever have mind control technology, I'm going to put my mind into Kent Hovind. I'm going to basically allow myself to take over Kent Hovind's body and say, now I'm going to inject you with some facts. Nobody in the history of evolution has claimed a dog came from a rock. Good day, sir.
Well, I have to wonder, like, if you were able to take over one of these people and started saying, actually, it turns out evolution really did happen and this, that, and the other thing, would the congregation go, oh, or would they go, burn him with fire? I have to wonder.
They'd burn him.
Well, I'd start off slowly at first and then basically say, okay, so now that you've actually managed to understand this, to all the people who are listening to me, yes, these are all the ways that we can test evolution, and it's true. And they're like, oh, now we get it. Just one of these days I'd love to do that, and just get myself a little bit of personal satisfaction.
Yeah. I don't know that you would get any satisfaction, though. I mean, basically, these people are all supporting of each other. So if one of them turned and changed their opinion, they'd just be destroyed by the others. You know, you imagine what Matt Powell or any of that mob from the NFIB would do to Hovind if he changed his mind.
I'd love to see that rift in their community and see how it folds out.
I would
go out and get the popcorn to watch it.
Oh, fuck yeah.
You mean like the recent issue with Tiger Dan?
Is that Tiger King show that I never watched?
No, Tiger Dan was a guy who tried to make a map for the flat Earth of known flight times and distances, and he found out it could not work.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
And every flat earther jumped on his ass, calling him a fake, a government disinformationist, or a shill.
Yeah, because they haven't been prepared to do the work, and when he actually sat down and did it, he found out, oh, I'm wrong, and the Earth is actually round.
It is amazing some people actually have that capacity to say, oops, I was wrong. So few seem to.
Oh, it's dreadful. But they won't even entertain the idea that they could be wrong. I mean, for us, we're of the opinion that if you can show that I'm wrong, if you can prove your case and prove to me that God exists, or prove to me that the Earth is flat, that is cool, because if you can show good, solid evidence for that, I'm there. I'm totally there. But you can't, so I'm not.
I mean, I remember when I was younger, a lot of my friends and I would try to come up with explanations for weird paranormal things we would hear about. And, you know, a lot of it would be just made up, make-believe kind of stuff. And these guys don't sound any different from the, like, playing pretend that we did. The only difference is we kind of knew we were full of crap.
Yeah. And all these things are gateways to other conspiracies. Most of these people end up not just being either flat earthers, they end up being like 9/11 deniers, anti-vaxxers. Most of them are young earth creationists or some
Sandy
religion
Hook
thing. Yeah, Sandy Hook deniers. People like that.
Challenger.
Yeah, Challenger.
Columbia.
Yep. So they end up denying everything because they want to. It's partly I think they want to feel special. I know something that you don't know, and it's also it's probably also a kickback to authority. They don't want to believe anything that they're ever told because they just don't trust authority. And I guess I don't necessarily trust authority either.
Lead them into a infinitely dense well of stupidity.
Yeah. I mean, I don't necessarily trust authority either, but I'm of the opinion that if the evidence is there to support something, I should believe it, and science certainly has the evidence.
Well, I certainly understand the idea that like they want to feel special or whatever. I mean, if it turned out magic was real, the supernatural is real, I'd be all over that. You know, I mean, I think the world should be a little bit more like it is in the movies, but it's not. You know, but I mean, I can understand wanting to feel like it is and clinging as hard as you can to the notion, but not to the point of idiocy.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. 100% agree. All right, I'm going to play again. How long till we have to stop it? Is the question.
Well, we're about halfway through.
Passes through the thinner clouds, as we can see up there. I think we call those cirrostratus clouds, if I'm not mistaken. Thanks to Bob the science guy for pointing that out to us recently. Those, of course, are much thinner, very wispy clouds, and the sunlight shines through those clouds very easily. But as you can see here, the sunlight does not shine through these cumulus clouds that are at a lower altitude.
Those are actually stratus clouds too.
Much thicker. And it also explains why you cannot zoom in on the sun after it has set.
Wait, let him finish that sentence. I want to hear what he's saying.
That's really what's happening. The sun apparently has gone beyond or behind the clouds, and so of course you cannot zoom in. If you just you know, in your mind's eye, imagine that these clouds are much further away, so they would touch the horizon. So of course when we get a sunset, then those clouds will just the sun will go beyond those clouds, and you.
So he's basically saying that we have sunsets because there are always clouds at the far away point from where you are, and the sun goes behind them, and that's why you don't see any sun.
Bullshit!
Bizarre.
Bizarre. That is actually even more bizarre than their magic spotlight.
What the actual unholy fuck? Tornado rant incoming.
Yep.
So,
Please don't. Please don't.
Mr. Fuckwit, perhaps you haven't noticed that there are these things. They're called clear days. And somehow, when the sun sets on clear days, you can still see the sun setting and going beyond your area of the horizon because, you see, there are no magic clouds always out at a certain distance causing the illusion of a sunset. It's because the Earth is rotating and you are a fucking idiot.
Yeah,
Ding!
It's an amazing claim, though, isn't it? It's like somewhere out there's some clouds, and the sun goes behind it all night, so you have night. What?
That is just so strange. I mean, okay, but if the sun is behind something, it won't stop illuminating everything else. I mean, like if there were clouds, say above the clouds that the sun is behind, those clouds will get illuminated. I mean, assuming, of course, that the light source is like a sphere or radial rather than a spotlight. But even if it's a spotlight, I mean, depending on how narrow it is or isn't, it'll still illuminate things that are like further to the edge of that light cone, basically. So being behind a cloud won't change anything.
And those clouds that would have to block the sun would have to go up high enough in the sky to almost reach his so-called sun, and like a great big wall of clouds.
This is what I'm saying. It makes no sense.
That.
Plus, I mean, like, why would the sky go dark and we'd be able to see stars? Does this guy believe in the firmament?
He does.
Yes. Now, of course, that brings up another point, because, you see, the fact that the thing he's admitting is that this would have to also hold true for everybody on the planet. Every single person would have their own personal wall of clouds that probably other people would see. And do you know what happens when you coat an entire planet with cloud cover?
It heats up.
Well, aside from that, basically, if you have an entire planet covered with clouds because everyone has their own personal cloud wall, then no one's going to be able to see the sun. And that also means that, well, photosynthesis is a lot less effective, which reduces the amount of plants, which causes mass famine, which, yeah, I think you know where this is going.
Well, yeah, I mean,
one of
like
the most
that...
bizarre sensations I ever had was living for 20 years in Seattle, where it's constantly overcast for about 9.5 months out of the year, and literally not being able to tell where the sun is in the sky. Because the entire sky is one completely unbroken, untextured shade of bright-ass gray. And if you look around for a lighter spot in the overcast for where the sun is, you won't find it, and it is bizarre.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically,
like you said,
picture that, but across the entire planet.
It's a personal
that's my
cloud
point.
For every single person. And for this thing to exist, when we have the sun up in the sky, we'd have to see the other side of the cloud ball being illuminated to have the dark spot for everyone else. And it's just not there. This is a dumber claim than their ice wall.
The claim that he's making is not just physically impossible, it's meteorologically impossible.
It's everything impossible. It's pure fantasy.
Well, I mean, if he believes in magic enough already, why doesn't he just believe that, like, God is turning down the dimmer switch at night? You know, I mean, if it's going to be this much magic, why not just turn off the sun for a couple of hours every day?
Oh, yeah. Yep. And turn on the moon.
Yeah, I mean, of course, then there's the whole thing where sometimes the moon is visible during the day, but whatever.
Reasons.
Yeah, and whenever the moon is visible, the angle of separation always precisely matches the phase of the moon.
Yep.
Which is another good way of determining that the moon is not a weird light, but is in fact its own object.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that it is
that's
reflective
something.
and
They probably don't think that seeing the moon illuminated is light reflected off the sun, do they?
they also
Well,
don't think
no,
the moon covers
they think it's cold moonlight.
They also don't think the moon covers the sun in a solar eclipse. They think there's another dark body out there and that's what causes eclipses.
Oh,
Yeah,
jeepers.
like, what were they, Rahu and Ketu?
See, this is one of the reasons why I don't deal with flat earthers on my own channel. It's just, it's a level of stupidity that, honestly, I mean, it goes so far beyond the people who believe a God exists. It's easier to deal with those people for some reason. It's like,
At least they leave the physics of the
kind of
universe.
no. What it is they have a canon for it. You know, you can at least look in their rule book and find what most of them probably believe. It's like trying to explain to a sci-fi fan why their favorite series is good or shit, because at least you have a reference for it. But it seems like the flat earthers are just making stuff up constantly. Like every flat earther, or at least every group of flat earthers, has their own version of why the earth is flat and how everything works.
There isn't a single thing they say that isn't covered by the shit from their own ass, in other words.
Yeah, it just seems so much more made up by the individual rather than a collective believing something that's written for them.
Oh, definitely.
Now, of course, there's the other issue at hand that every time a flat earther explains something, the flat earthers can explain any one phenomenon, but they cannot explain all of them, because the moment they explain one phenomenon, every other phenomenon breaks.
Yeah, very true.
Sorry. Every time there was an episode of the Muppets, and anyway, I'll just be over here.
Also, the flat earthers have to add on things to explain everything else. Basically, solar eclipses? No, but then how does the sun do its thing? Oh, there's these bodies called Rahu and Ketu. Okay, but how do they how do they not manage to gravitationally affect everything else? Because gravity doesn't exist and all this other stuff. They can't answer the why until they get because magic.
Yeah, and I don't know. It's just it's. Never mind.
It's like trying to play stupidity whack-a-mole.
Well, I guess what it is that they seem unwilling to employ Occam's razor. I mean, it's like their explanations get so convoluted and extra complex to hold on to the conclusion that they want to reach, instead of going, well, this makes so much more sense just in terms of how much is answered by so little. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, they'd rather have a complicated explanation that gets them to where they want to go than a simple explanation that explains.
Anyway, let's resume the video.
Yep.
We won't be able to zoom in on the sun again. Always a ridiculous question that we often get from globe earthers who can't get their heads around this idea that we're living on a stationary Earth with a moving sun. All right.
Pause.
Thank you very much. Have a great day on this lovely, magical flat Earth. Cheerio.
He said it.
I'm glad he said it was magical, because that's so true.
Yeah.
Uh,
I don't know. I mean, so many of their videos seem to be the same as a religious person saying, I know God exists because look at the trees. You know, he points his camera at a sunrise and goes, see, flat Earth.
Yeah. Yeah, it's, yeah, this lovely magical planet. Yes, because it has to be magic to do what you want it to do.
But I mean, again, I can kind of empathize. I wish the world was more magical than it is. I feel lied to by the movies. You know, I mean, hell, when I was little, I genuinely believed that the year 2000 was this threshold beyond which we'd all be living like the Jetsons, and look where we are now. you know. So it's like I can understand the desire to live on a world that's so much niftier than the real one, but at the same time I have to bow to reality even if I don't like it.
Yeah, exactly. You have to accept what is can be shown to be true.
Hmm.
Or was it
And what cannot be shown to be true is a stupid flat Earth.
Oh, definitely not. Well, he himself said magic. It has to be magic.
Hmm.
So yeah.
Man, well, I've often wondered, like, I used to have this feeling as a kid where if I thought, ooh, something magical could happen right now. Imagine if aliens showed up. Imagine if I had magic powers, this, that, and the other thing. And it felt really kind of nifty
Yeah, I
to
was the
think
same
about that
kid.
sort of thing and really wish for it. And I've often wondered if that's the same feeling that religious people feel when they think they feel the presence of God.
Yeah, I think it is. I was religious, so there is certainly there's certainly an element, especially when you're in a group setting, of of that fellowship feeling, which can lead to the release of endorphins, and to a point where you're basically on a high from the environment that you're in, and then that does become special and magical in the same way as getting stoned off your face in drugs does. So the
Hmm.
Now, of
religion
course,
is can be, depending on the environment it's in, can definitely be like a drug. And it's the
my whole
same for
thing
things like
is,
this.
while I'm a Christian, I
Yeah,
also
I
accept
know.
science.
Yeah, I know, but you're not the type of Christian that we're talking about.
True.
And you know that. I mean, the kind of people that we're talking about are the Ken Hams, Ken Hovens,
Young
the
Earth
people who are going to
creationists.
deny shit. And
Well,
and
People who
you
make me
understand.
want to, as a Christian, bash their heads in with a ball peen hammer.
Yeah. Well,
Or
and you
bash my head
understand.
in with a ball peen hammer.
like I'm not even sure what got me started debunking religion, like what my motivation was, but what it's been for the last several years has just been to get people to share and play nicely with the other kids, to not use religion as an excuse to be really shitty to other people. So I mean, if you're the kind of Christian who believes some of the weirdest woo there is, but you're hurting nobody, I don't care, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the
Then
people.
again, there's also the matter of the Peronian skeptic. One time I actually had an encounter with one of these, let's just call them individuals, because that's what they are. Is they're an individual, although I can't understand their viewpoint. Basically, they said that if you have any opinions or any beliefs at all, then you're a religious dogmatic zealot, effectively. And I said,
Ugh.
so if I believe My Little Pony is a pretty good show, would that make me religious? And he said yes. If you have any opinion, if you have any beliefs at all, you're a dogmatist.
Well,
Everyone
that's
has
one thing I've
beliefs.
noticed a lot is the religious people who insist that you have to have a religion in your life somewhere, somehow, and if it's not God, then it's something you like, or politics, or something that they can't imagine a world or like a viewpoint that doesn't have a religious shaped hole that needs to be filled with something.
With me, it's like, okay, I'll admit this. MLP is a pretty good show. But that's just because I'm a fan. It's not that It's not that I follow it religiously. I'm just a fan.
Yeah.
Well, I've often
Yeah.
compared like religious people, usually Christians, but not exclusively, to Trekkies, just in terms of their zealotry. Now, I realize Trekkies are not as bad, but at the same time, the zealotry is very similar.
Well, at least most Trekkies actually believe in science.
Well, yes, although the science in Star Trek is absolutely terrible if you really look at it.
Oh,
Don't
it
get me
is.
started.
It is shocking. They occasionally have something that's okay, but most of it is hand wavery.
Mm-hmm,
Let's
mm-hmm.
have
The
some.
Although the
term Treknobabble exists for a reason.
Yeah.
what about the
Technobabble.
transparent aluminum?
The one, oh, yeah, that.
Well, they actually do have transparent aluminum now, so. And transparent wood.
Do they?
Yeah, they figured out a way to make a. It's a processed wood, but they figured out a way to make a laminated wood now that is actually clear.
Hmm.
Niall
So
Red actually showed a good video of this.
yeah, it is really interesting. Um,
I wonder what you can do with that. I mean, just in terms of making things, crafting, whatever.
yeah, I
I
don't
have
know.
no clue.
I don't know what their ultimate plan for it. I think part of it was so that you could, but have windows that were almost like built into the wall exactly. So you
Oh,
actually
that'd
had
be
a
cool.
window that was you didn't need framing around it because that part of the wall was actually clear.
Well, then it'd probably be much more difficult to shatter.
Oh
Like,
yeah, it's
like
a
you know,
big chunk
you
of
get a
wood.
bunch of kids roughhousing, and one of them like throws something at the other kid who ducks, and it hits the wall or it hits the window, and it doesn't break.
Yeah, well, I mean, think about it. This stuff's as strong as plywood, so you could have a couple of mils thick stuff as a separator that you could bounce balls off. You would be able to do that with glass. So yeah, there's certainly advantages to it, but I believe it's still quite expensive to make, so it's not something.
It's not really practical yet,
Yeah.
but it's getting there.
You know, and that is one of the most frustrating things about scientific discoveries and their application is like, well, we're getting there, but it's not here yet. Like, for
Fusion.
example, augmented reality. Like, you know, the those Google glasses or whatever.
Yeah.
Not the Google glass. What was the one I'm thinking of? Not Google Glass. It's the Microsoft version. You know, where
Uh.
you put on these things that look like shades, and it.
Yeah, I know what you mean. There's actually a better one now
Yeah.
than even that.
Well, okay, but I mean, you can't just go into Best Buy and buy them. You
No,
know.
no, you can't. I'm trying to remember the name of the company. But this company's got a set of augmented reality glasses that actually look like normal glasses. They can even be made with your prescription. And what they've done is they've made a little tiny miniature projector that sits up in the top part of the frame of the glasses, and it actually projects the image into your eye.
Wow. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah. So
I mean, until we can just walk around with this stuff on our faces for realsies and play games with people and all kinds of stuff, it's just not that cool. I mean, I remember back in the 90s when people were talking about virtual reality, like the general public was talking about virtual reality for the first time. And I didn't get my first virtual reality rig until like 3 years ago.
I
You
don't
know, so
have
it's just
one.
like all this speculation about how cool the future is going to be, and it takes forever to get here.
I don't have one. I
Well,
should.
but I mean, you get my point. Is
Yeah,
that
I
they
do.
promise us this, that, and the other thing, and it takes decades before it
Well,
arrives.
I mean, think about fusion. I mean, the promise of fusion has been here since the early 70s, and that's 50 years, and we
Wait a
still
minute,
haven't
that's
got
not true.
there.
Fusion is here. I would just walk past this restaurant that was doing like Japanese and Hungarian fusion.
I meant I meant
Sorry,
Well,
I'll
technically,
just
the
let
joke is that
myself out.
fusion power is always 50 years
years
away,
away. Yeah, I realize
or
that's
20
the
years
joke.
away.
I mean, there are ways we
Um,
could do fusion now, but none of them are practical
right.
or safe.
Well, you know, if we can ever just really get the whole solar thing going for realsies, that'd be nice.
No,
Get ourselves off fossil fuels.
I know about Jerry Ellsworth's project that she's doing, but that has a projector that projects outwards onto onto surfaces, so that you have a visual thing that you can pick up on from the surfaces that you're walking around with. So it's a bit different, Jerry's system. Although it may be a variant of her company that's maybe part of the company she's working with that are actually doing the same project. But yeah, Jerry Ellsworth is kind of an amazing person, a bit of a hero of mine. So
Not sure I know this name.
she's an electronics engineer. She's been working in the field since the early 2000s. She's she's got a YouTube channel. She actually made her own silicon wafers on a YouTube video.
Silicon wafers.
Yeah,
I prefer cinnamon, but
Yeah, I know.
I'll just be over here.
That's a good joke.
I'll let
Silicon
myself
wafer.
out.
That's actually kind of funny.
So yeah, it's we've been going for what?
Well, this started at 6, so I guess
3
it's about
hours?
3 hours.
I'm wondering if we should call an end to it because we've probably all got things. Well, you guys probably need to go to bed soon.
I actually spent most of today asleep, and I'm still tired. I don't know what's up. I think I might actually be sick with something that isn't the plague.
So yeah, and I mean, how late is it for you, Tornado?
It's midnight here.
Yeah, that's what I figured it'd be, and it's lunchtime here, and I haven't eaten yet today, so I'm of the opinion.
Oh, I know that feeling. That happens to me all the time on Diana's streams.
Yeah. So I'm sort of like getting at the point where I might have to go and actually do something that doesn't involve sitting on my butt.
So what are you going to sit on?
No, I'm probably going to go and stand for a while.
I've never actually sat on my butt. I've sat on other things, but my butt is attached to me. It's the part of me that I sit with.
It's an interesting statement, isn't it?
Yeah. It is.
You can sit on someone else's butt.
It always bothers me when someone says, like, they make reference to my bottom. And I'm like, but that's not my bottom. That's the back of my middle. The soles of my feet are my bottom.
Yep. Well, you wouldn't want to have diarrhea out of them.
Actually, it might be a little easier. It would also be a little more gross because I could aim.
Yeah. It'd definitely be a little gross. It'd be easier to clean up.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm just picturing, like, someone walks by and I'm angry at them and I happen to be a little ill, so I take off a shoe, point my heel in their direction, and the next thing you know...
Yeah. And you could say to someone,
I did not need that mental image in my head. Thank you, Kate, for that.
Well... Okay, maybe my brain goes to weird places sometimes, but...
Oh, no, my brain had gone there too. It's fine.
I mean, Yeah, I had to make that at one point.
But yeah, I'm gonna head off. So see you guys.
Alright.
Might get a little more sleep.
To everyone. If the people in the chat want to catch Tornado, he's every Friday night. He's on the movie night on the Sci Strike channel. That's the best place to catch him, or follow him on Twitter. I will eventually put the links in the description, but I'm probably going to go and have lunch before I change anything. And of course, you can all follow the lovely Kate Bionic Dance on her channel, whose link I would pop in the chat, except for I'm not that prepared. But it will be in the description later. And follow these lovely people on Twitter and all that. And thank you so much to Ilya Moon and Jen Morgan for joining us as well. It was lovely to have everybody. And thank you everyone in the chat. It's been great. Did anyone want to add anything?
Yes, if you can't stay safe, try to take a lot of people with you.
And if you can stay safe, do so.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, please, especially at this time. So, alright, love you all. Goodbyes.
Laters.
Bye, everybody.